Hello and welcome to episode 106 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I am joined by the lovely Wib. Say hello.
Howdy.
And I'm also joined by the lovely and bodacious drummer Matt.
Say woo.
That, you know what? I really appreciate the attempt. Thank you.
I apparently tried, but I'm not sure I did.
We're not going to redo that. Is this what we are now?
This is what the audience has come to expect of me.
Frantically laying out train tracks ahead of us as we go.
I mean, like, seriously, what else is new?
It is the wrong trousers of podcasts.
Yes.
I know, I love that comment. It's like, yes, that is entirely accurate.
That's perfect. How are you two lovely gentlemen doing this fine day?
I'm doing okay. How you doing, Matt?
Oh, pretty good, Snipe.
All the better for hearing your lovely voice.
Oh, that's nice.
So, we don't have much to talk about, but that's not like it ever stops us before. Wibblet, would you like to kick us off with being the person who has the most to talk about? I.e. the biggest dick in Big Dick Town right now.
In that I have consumed media.
Yeah. What's that like?
I don't like it. I'm going to give it up, actually.
Yeah.
I'm actually done with media. I mean, I'll continue to create it, but, like, yeah, I'm done with watching it at all.
Yeah, honestly, that's a fair statement.
However, before I kick the habit, I have watched and played some stuff.
Nice.
Wow.
So, first off, played through on stream with Longfang, played through Halo 1. In cooperative, which I've not played since about 2003.
I've been meaning to play Halo with Longfang.
So Halo 1 is the original Halo. It's
Halo
not like
Combat Evolved.
Because it's confusing, because it's on Xbox, and Xbox One isn't the first Xbox, so,
Yeah, well,
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was like Halo was supposed to be a Mac exclusive for a long time.
Yeah, originally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It was supposed to kind of be like the game that breaks through and says, hey, it's like PCs aren't the only thing that can game, and, well, we see how well that
how'd that work out for you, Mag?
Yeah.
I mean, Bungie did a bunch of Mac exclusive games back in the day.
They did.
Was it like Marathon was their first big one?
No, that's a candy bar from the 80s.
That's a Snickers.
Well, it is now, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, all these points are somewhat tangential to the point I was going to make, which is that, yes, I was playing through Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, which was...
Oh, yeah, they did the remastered.
Yeah, it was like an updated, remastered version, so it has better models and textures. However, if you press tab, it flips back to the old textures.
Oh, that's cool.
Like Monkey Island.
Yeah, Halo 2 does it as well, but that also does it with soundscape as well, and music, which is really cool.
That's cool.
Now, apparently it's not very good when you play it on the old textures because there's a lot of like shaders and things missing, so it doesn't actually look as good as it should.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it never, didn't, especially looking back, it would not have looked good anyway, so...
I mean, Halo 1 looked really good at the time. Like, for a console shooter, it looked fantastic. That was most of what it had about it.
Yeah.
But it was a really interesting thing to go back and play through, because I've always thought that though I have never been like a Halo person, playing through it, all the lore happening at me, and I'm just like, I don't care about Halo lore. I'm sorry. I have like a finite amount of like franchises that I can care about the lore for, and Halo will never be one of them. But I do really enjoy it as a co-op game. There's something just really kind of simple about its system, and it, especially in the early ones. So I also, a while ago, played through Reach in co-op with Longfang as well on stream. And especially in the early ones, there's a certain like level of jankiness to them that makes them just really fun. Like, I wonder if I can get this ghost all the way through this level by squeezing it through these things, and can I get it up this elevator?
For a moment there, I forgot that a ghost was a vehicle. I thought you were talking about an actual, like, spectre. I was like, huh.
I was not desecrating the dead.
Well, I mean,
not that point, anyway.
No, yes, there you go.
But yeah, it's still. I still think it still holds up as like a co-op sort of thing. It's just kind of fun, I think. And Halo 2, the update on that is even better because I could never be bothered to actually finish Halo 2. I played through like the first couple of hours of it back in the day, like on the original Xbox, and my only memories of it were, oh hey, that bit with the giant beetle robot, that was kind of cool.
Was there a bit with a warthog?
What?
Was there like a warthog section? There's
a warthog section in literally every
I know,
Halo
but
game.
I'm sure there's one that's infamous.
You probably think of the one it's the end of Halo 1.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Ignore me.
But there's the two that I remember is a giant sequence with a giant like beetle robot thing that's kind of cool because it's kind of kaijuing its way through a city a bit, and that's quite fun. And that the texture pop-in of it is the most horrendous texture pop-in that the mankind ever saw until the Unreal 3 engine became a mainstay.
Shade.
It was distractingly bad. I mean, not quite as bad. I think the worst one of like model and texture pop-in I saw was in GTA San Andreas, where it was possible to fly into a building that hadn't loaded yet. But Halo 2 was really bad for it, and this modern version doesn't have it, so that's really nice.
So it's not a true remaster.
They actually took
and we should get really mad.
They got for the modern one, they ripped out all the cutscenes and they replaced them with fancy modern CGI cutscenes, like done to like at the time movie like quality, so you can see nice. Like all of the awkward hairy testicles hanging off the aliens. It's weird. Like, whatever the people who, like, rule the Covenant are, because I don't remember the lore of Halo, I'm sorry. But the people that rule it, they all have, like...
If they've run in the Convent.
Possibly. But they have, like,
the
weird...
No.
Well, maybe not, because I know. I stop saying words.
No. It's what I do.
I know. But I'm trying to remember a thing, so all the random words being said makes it really hard to remember.
Honestly, I like the version I've made in my own brain, so, you do you.
Okay. But anyway, the rulers of it, like, they have all these dangly bits, like, they've got weird ear things, and they very much look like hairy testicles in the new fancy cutscenes, so that's a thing to look forward to if you haven't played it yet. But all this was recently released on PC, and so you can pick them up for relatively cheap, and they're definitely worth kind of a shot. Halo is, I've never really considered it to be a particularly groundbreaking game in like gameplay sense. It's just been a shooter that has some very fancy skyboxes and was hugely influential, massively influential. So it's still really interesting to play on that front, even if I personally don't really feel it's particularly innovative in a lot of ways.
I mean, it was definitely... It's kind of like, you know how everybody loves Time Splitters 2?
Yeah.
I see it as kind of like that. Like, I personally don't give a shit, especially because I was playing PC shooters, and I don't really ever play console shooters, because it frustrates me. Because I know how good I am with a mouse and keyboard, and I just cannot achieve that with a controller. So
yes, very much so.
And yeah, it's like, Halo is fine. I think I had my view on Halo tainted, because when I was at Games Dev College, there were two guys in my class who were completely obsessed with it. Like, it's like, you know how you sit there and you just want to throw something at somebody when they're, like, completely obsessive about one thing and they will dismiss everything else? You just want to be like, consume other media.
Yeah,
they were like that. It was literally like, nothing was as good as Halo. No character was as cool as Master Chief. No digital woman was more fuckable than Cortana, etc., etc. And they were just insufferable with it. And then also, we had to do... Like, I had to play... there was a Warthog session. There was like a Warthog section from Halo 2 or something. I had to play that, like, over the space of 3 days. I must have played that for, like, 4 to 6 hours, studying it.
Yeah,
And it wasn't like QA testing. It wasn't trying to like fuck things up. It was just, oh no, you need to play this again so you can feel the flow of combat mixed with narrative, etc., etc. You need to analyze this. And I'm like, I don't want to.
There are a few games that if you're not super into, you can do that with and not hate them by the end of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand that. I think that's the thing. I've had a kind of similar thing, which is that most of the people who I experienced who really liked Halo were kind of insufferable until like my kind of recent life.
For younger folks listening, Halo's like online fan base, basically when they got bored of Halo, that kind of disgustingly evil toxic element moved on to Call of Duty. So that's kind of like, it gives you an idea, and especially because like these two guys I was in class with, of course this was the best multiplayer game ever as well, and I'm like, I don't know, I was playing like Unreal Tournament at that point.
Yeah,
I was like, that's Unreal's pretty good. Then like,
I think
I don't think it is.
A really big aspect is that both of us, from a shooter perspective, even me though I hadn't played that many shooters at the time because my PC was terrible, and I couldn't play like the bleeding edge stuff. Even I knew like, you know, PC for shooters was just infinitely better, and I think that's the real thing that Halo did, was between that and Time Splitters they finally cracked how to do shooters on console and do them well.
Yeah.
And they just, and it just had some awkward things, but I don't really want to focus on that stuff because it's because I had a real good time playing through the first Halo. I will say, and yeah, I can wholly recommend if you haven't, because there's a Master Chief Collection. They've been slowly like bringing out on PC, and there's a handful of games that you can buy for it now. Because it's like one game that you buy like parts of. It's a weird.
Oh, isn't it? It's basically you buy a launcher and then you like buy the individual games.
Well, I think when you buy one game, it comes with the launcher sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then other games launch up in that, which, from a technical perspective, I imagine is a nightmare because effectively.
Well, I mean, it's daisy chaining shit. It's like, come on, you're not Origin. Don't do
this.
No,
because the thing is that normally when games have to like launch other games that work in other engines, like you can tell, it's like you can the screen flickers, you can feel it like change pace, but you don't. It seamlessly goes from this one menu into these different games, and especially in the case of the older ones that they've remastered, you can flick them back to their old settings with like the press of a button. Which, by the way, if you're a clumsy, large-fingered fool like myself. And your melee button is Q, the amount of times you will accidentally hit tab with the corner of your finger and flick to the other...
So the corner of your finger.
Yeah.
yeah.
So not only do you have large, cumbersome fingers, but they also have corners.
They
no
do
wonder
have
you
corners.
have difficulty.
Yes, exactly.
You poor thing.
This is my big problem. I need to play on PC because it's the only way I can have enough of an edge to beat video games.
Your fingers are literally key-shaped.
Apparently so.
So you can just poke them from directly above.
This is it. This is why I've never been good at console shooters.
Yeah.
My weird Lego fingers.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kept hitting it, which did mean that I got the achievement for checking every chapter in the other mode.
Oh, God.
Which I think was mostly because I kept accidentally hitting it. They also did some things like there's a whole mid-section of Halo 1 which they decide to make you go through the same room multiplied several times and you backtrack through it. It is an unforgivable sin of the game's design.
That's like, Crunch was pretty rough then.
It is the one bit of the... You know when you play a bit of a game and you go, this game would be improved if this was gone. Not replaced, just gone.
Oh, God, like the fucking... Oh, God, what is that horrible boss from Dark Souls 1?
Which one?
The one that you can literally see the point at which they ran out of money.
Oh, the Bed of Chaos.
That's the one. Bed of
Yeah,
Chaos.
the one where they ran out of money going down to... oh, fuck, it's fallen out of my head now what the area is called. Don't tell me. I will have looked it up by the time you hear this. But yeah, the whole lava area underneath that was all super... Lost Islet.
Lost Islet, yeah. Fucking chonky.
That was like, oh, we ran out of money. You can look over the edge of places and just see holes in the world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Isn't
it interesting how you can just see chunks like that? Like,
yeah. Yeah, Dark Souls 1 is weird like that. But yeah, what they did in that really insufferable part where it's really easy to get, like, turned around because everything looks the same is they actually put arrows on the ground to tell you which way to go.
Heroes. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best.
However, do you want to know what's really funny? When you backtrack through there,
God.
they're the wrong way. So you have to reverse follow the arrows.
Okay, maybe not all the time the simplest solution is the best. Okay.
But anyway, that's, Halo. I played through that. Hey, turns out a game from, like, 20 years ago can still hold up and you can still have fun with it. Who knew?
20 years ago, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, it was like 2000, 2001 that came out, something like that, wasn't it?
Oh my god, I was still in school. Dude, that's so weird. I remember the other day that YouTube came out, what was like, became a thing in 2005.
I thought it was like 2007.
No. 2005.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, don't tell me, because I'm not wrong, and I'm always writing stuff. I remember in the computer labs, the techs hadn't figured out that it was a site you should restrict yet. So, like, and that was when, like, copyright? Nah. So, like, loads of people watching, like, Family Guy and shit, just in like, the labs. It was pretty cool. Anyway, I'll stop flashing back.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about another video game. Which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
I thought it was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
No, there's only one colon. I checked, because I was going to make a joke about it being called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But no, it's Star Wars Jedi as one thing. As if that's, like, a recognisable series name.
Star Wars Jedi, yeah.
Watch me find out now there is actually a long-running series that have come under that title, and I just haven't noticed, because there's literally a billion fucking Star Wars games.
A billion fucking Star Wars.
Yep. So yeah, Fallen Order is set a handful of years after the events of Revenge of the Sith.
Cool.
So before the original trilogy, and it's based around a character who was a Jedi Padawan, and has been in hiding and basically joins a little group that is trying to bring back the Jedi Order. Spoilers, if you've seen Star Wars, that probably doesn't end well. I haven't beat the game yet, but, it's probably not going to end as triumphantly as you might hope. But the game itself is... So it's a weird one. It's sort of like your standard kind of action-adventure kind of game. So, you have, like, areas you need to traverse and hang off, and,
Adventure game.
Adventure
kind of like
game.
Lara Crofty kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I want to say that it's like Tomb Raider, but I realise that the new Tomb Raider that does that stuff is borrowing largely from Uncharted.
It's so weird.
Which in and of itself borrows heavily from the old Tomb Raider, so...
My favourite part about Tomb Raider is that someone went, yeah, okay, but what if it was with a dude?
What if it was with Nathan Fillion?
What if it was Nathan Fillion? And also, like, Crash Bandicoot's in it, and then you do a big fucking on the couch because Crash Bandicoot gets, like, Nathan Drake in the mood.
The fuck are you talking about?
The last Uncharted game.
I've not heard of any of this.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
Okay.
There's a hat that can control people.
Okay, I'm just going to barrel on from this and talk about the game that I was going to talk about.
They incorporate, like, the crystal skull.
Of course they do.
I am making all that up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Before someone's like, I don't think that happens. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Like, I'm just like, hey, maybe. I could not get through more than a few hours of Uncharted. I totally get why people love it, because I know you really like it, don't you, Matt?
Yeah.
But I could never get on with the Uncharted series. But anyway, Fallen Order has that kind of, the sort of... I feel that the sort of standard, like, action-adventure game, which has a lot of, like, terrain traversal things, is sort of what happened to platform games being mainstream. It sort of got folded into that. And so it has a lot of that, but the actual combat itself is kind of Dark Souls. but not fully Dark Souls. Just, like, enough to make the combat, like, challenging and a bit more methodical than you expect from these sort of things. And to give you, like, stamina and things like that. And it's interesting, because initially I was having a lot of trouble with it, because its controls are more like a standard kind of action game. And I actually switched them to be like Dark Souls controls because I wasn't going into fights in the right mindset. So I swapped the controls around so I'd start treating it more like a Souls game, and that helped me a lot. Because even though it's not a Souls game, it's Souls inspired, I would say is a better way of putting it. Not even like a Souls like somewhat like the Surge or what have you. But yeah, it is, it's just Souls inspired, which is cool. And it knows how to do, like, the fan service elements of a game like that, but does them in a way that isn't The Rise of Skywalker, where it's not just, hey, look at the thing you know. It actually does a better job of, like, just incorporating things and to make them into just a cool thing that you happen to do. Like, for example, the place where you're hiding out at the start of the game is in, like, a breaker's yard. So it's ships from the Clone Wars, because that's recent history at this point, are being broken down because they don't need them anymore because they're all being replaced by your modern Star Destroyers. So the Venators are being taken apart, which is cool.
That's a better way of doing it than just going, hey, remember the Clone Wars? Okay, Jedi time. And because, let's be honest, so much media is guilty of that.
Yeah, and so they did that, and I was quite happy because they bring in a Lucahulk, which is the name of the big droid controlled ships, but I don't think in canon ever get called Lucahulks. Like, I say in canon, I mean on screen.
Yeah.
They might say it at some point during the Clone Wars TV show, but Lucahulks don't show up very often in it. For some reason, they usually use other ships instead. So they actually call it a Lucahulk, and I was like, oh, that's fun, because I know what that's called. And they just kind of naturally say, because they're like, oh, we've not seen one of those in a while. And it's just being brought in, like, to be dumped in the thing, and, like, things are being cut apart around you, and one of the, starting points of what's going off is you actually find a Jedi starfighter that's, like, smashed into the hull of a Venator.
Nice.
And it's got, like, a busted astromech still inside it. And that's sort of like that's like the start of everything. You go off and you have your time, and like I don't want to spoil things because it's really, some really cool little things. Like a named character does show up, but I've been playing it for like 4 hours before a named character from other stuff has shown up, and they're not like a big character. They're just a character that's been in a bunch of stuff, and that's just kind of cool. They show up, and it's in a place they absolutely would, so it doesn't feel like shoehorned in like it could.
It's not like, oh yeah, you just missed Anakin Skywalker. He was doing pod racing. It's very good.
I don't know how the game is now, but it's not like I think you made the comparison when I was talking to you off podcast about this. It's not like Lord of the Rings Online, which when we tried to play it years and years ago,
when I was too poor for WoW.
Yeah, it was every 5 minutes they'd be like, oh hey, here's Gimli, here's Aragorn.
No, the thing is, it wouldn't even really it wouldn't show that. I think Gandalf shows up, but you come out of the starting area, every single person is wearing the same thing, and like Gandalf was like, oh yes, well, I was just talking about Frodo, who's he just left, you missed him.
Yeah,
very
it would
cool.
Gimli. Yeah. That's what I meant. It was constantly referencing them rather than
it was fucking tedious.
Whereas this doesn't really do that, and there's like a really cool bit because like you take over an AT-AT at one point, and his excuses of why he can do that. He's like, well, I worked in a breaker's yard. I used to take these things apart. I know how they work. Just like
that's all the justification I need.
That's cool. And the scene where you do it is really, really cool.
So, if it's like a Jeddu's birthday and they like put a little party hat on it, would it be a party at?
It'd be a party at.
You put two hats on the at.
So it becomes an at.
Yeah.
Possibly. Possibly.
You see, I'm not like as big into the lore as you, so that's why I wanted to check.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Anyway, Fallen Order is good. I can recommend it, but I will say it does control a little janky. I think the marriage of a more traditional modern action game with the Dark Soulsy things does have some issues because the slight vagueness, because like a lot of modern games have a little bit of vagueness about them, partially because they're, you know, like the way modern animations work isn't like one-to-one your movement. They have a bit of lead in and lead out, which I read somewhere was to do with the fact that modern TVs have that slight processing time. So everything has a slight lag, and so modern games are made to like deal with that, and that's one of the reasons for it.
One of the reasons, yeah.
Not least just because animation quality's got better, and you know. But the Soul series hasn't as often been a little bit more rigid than that. And that plus the Souls combat plus the enhanced movement options does lead to some weird bits. But you can customize your lightsaber, which is cool as fuck.
Nice.
And
Longfang wants to know your location.
And you can change the color of the little droid who lives on your back, who is
what's
adorable.
his name? I can't-
BD1, I think. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed this, but I'm very bad at remembering names, which is why I've consciously not mentioned the name of the main character,
Isn't it
because
Cal?
I think it's Cal, but I'm never sure.
I've seen so much like porn of him.
Good.
So I feel like I'm already very well
You know him
acquainted.
more than I do at this point.
Thoroughly, let me tell you.
Inside and out.
Yes, I haven't gone looking for this pornography, just in case anyone's wondering. It's not really my type, because you know I don't like. I like the Tom Hollands of the world. I want to hug and give a hot cup of cocoa to. I don't want to see him naked. It's just a bit weird.
Yeah.
They're too young. They're like, even though like you know they are adult men, I'm like, baby, precious baby.
Anyone younger than like 25 is a baby.
Anyone younger than me is a baby.
Basically.
Apart from Longfang, who is an old man.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is how this works. Anyway, yeah, Fallen Order good. I like it a lot. Slowly chipping through it. I'm not very good at it, but I'm hoping to eventually beat it. And it builds on some elements of like Star Wars stuff in cool and interesting ways.
Cool.
There is an enemy that you encounter that's like because you encounter a lot of like native fauna that tries to kill you. Some of which you'll recognise, but most of which I think has just been invented for the game. One of which is called the Skungus.
The Skungus!
I mean, it is just Skungus, but I have to call it the Skungus. It's earned that right, and its name is fantastic. Aside from that, I've also one other little Star Warsy thing is... he's getting a lot of mention this episode. Longfang bought me for my birthday some stormtroopers from the miniature wargame Star Wars Legion. Because I've been eyeing them up and I wanted to paint them up as some Imperial Remnant forces. Yeah, if you're not aware, they Fantasy Flight put out a game called Star Wars Legion, and it is like these nice little detailed miniatures that, like you know, like your Warhammers, you assemble them and paint them, and you do a tabletop war game. I have no idea about the game because I have never played it, and for some reason, the copy that I got, everything was in Spanish, including the rules for the characters. So I can't work out what the rules for them are either because I don't speak Spanish. But I'm unlikely to ever play it. So
La mujer come una manzana.
Okay. I do not speak
Mujer que pasó.
I do not speak a word of Spanish. So
Sí.
okay, I understand that single one, but
Do you understand ¿Cómo
Queso.
estás? Queso.
Queso.
K is like what, and queso is what, and cheese. Queso.
okay. Anyway, I thought I'd just say a little bit about Legion because if you haven't had any of them in your hands, they're kind of interesting as miniatures because if you're used to playing with Games Workshop stuff, you're kind of used to a certain level of like detail and quality, and you will usually find a different level of those things when you use other brands because they do not produce on anywhere near the same scale as Games Workshop. So
I was having a look at some I was having a look at some D&D miniatures today, because that was in that toy shop we like so much.
Yes.
And I very nearly bought you. There was ones where there was like 3 little froggy dudes, and I thought they were just so silly. They were amazing. But like some of that stuff is like, it's obviously not as high quality, but it's easily comparable, and I'd be very happy to receive one to just like to get one to just paint.
Yeah, I mean,
because they are very fun.
Because I've painted up one test one so far, and I was going to, once this podcast is over, I was going to assemble a few more because they come all in individual baggies.
It's like, hey mate, you got stuff.
Yeah, literally, they come in like they're drugs. Each stormtrooper is in their own individual plastic bag, and I have to say, I am okay with space fascists being separated from each other like that. Stops them getting out of hand.
Yeah, in an airtight polythene bag. That's preferable where they should be.
Fascists do belong in airtight polythene bags. It's true.
Yeah, fair.
We're going to get no kickback from that. And if we do, I don't fucking care.
Fuck fascism. It's a loser ideology for people who don't wipe their own asses.
They do. They just do it with their own like socks and then wank
they do it
in
with their
them.
own hands.
Yep.
But anyway... they all come in these individual things. The stormtroopers, at least, are only like a couple of pieces. Like the arms, like one whole thing. And...
so it's not like 40k miniatures typically where it's just individual arms and stuff. It's literally like does the gun come attached to the hands?
Yeah. I was literally about to explain how this works.
Sorry. I got excited because I understood a reference. I wanted to be a part of it.
It's okay. Is it? It's okay. But yeah, so the way they fit in is that the legs, torso, and head of the stormtrooper are like one piece. I think a couple of them do have like some separate pieces for different poses and things. Like some of them do have more pieces, but like the standard bog standard troopers. And their arms and gun are all one piece with some like clips in them. But the thing is, because the plastic they use is more rubbery, it's like vinyl.
Okay.
Like, I don't actually, because like honestly, the line between when it stops being plastic and when it starts being vinyl is a weird line, and I don't know anything about materials or engineering or stuff. To know exactly what it's made of, but it's a more rubbery kind of material. So you can you bend the arms out.
Ooh, I don't like that.
And then it just clips in. Really fine, because it's rubbery and it just goes back to its original shape.
I know, but the idea of just picking up a miniature piece and bending it...
Yes, I know.
is genuinely terrifying to me.
You don't have to do it much, but that's how they fit in.
Doing it at all freaks me out.
It does mean that because it's this more rubbery material, it does mean that it's harder to clean up mould lines, I will say. Overall, yeah, they're pretty easy to work with. The detail's pretty good on them. Like, my Stormtrooper I've painted up, I'm, like, really happy with it, and, like, the...
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
No, I love it. Like, I don't know... You are just a mage of weathering.
I did a lot of, because I wanted...
make it look so easy, which the easier something looks, usually the harder it fucking is, so...
The big thing with it is that cause basically inspired by the Imperial Remnant you see in The Mandalorian, where they're just wearing regular white Stormtrooper armor, but it's all pitted and knackered because the Imperial supply lines don't exist anymore. So when the armor gets damaged, they just have to kind of leave it, so they don't look pristine anymore. And I wanted to do that, but have them with coloration on them because they're like their own little splinter group.
That's really cool.
Because I just thought that'd be fun. So I've got this kind of like burgundy red color on them, which I believe is like Vallejo Bloody Scarlet. I think is the actual color I used.
That's a really good red, to be fair. I use that for my
what size are these dudes? Just to
I was going to actually mention that. Okay. They are slightly taller, like they're realistically proportioned.
Yeah.
It is weird seeing something... Okay. Well, no. Like, compared to, like, Space Marines and stuff, it is weird seeing a more reasonable proportion at that scale.
They're not heroic scale like 40k is, but they are slightly caricatured because of the scale. But they are more realistically proportioned than what you would find in your local Games Workshop. They stand a bit taller than a regular Space Marine, like a regular person does, and a little bit shorter than a Primaris.
Okay.
So they're relatively tall as far as that kind of scale of miniatures go. Although part of that might be because the bases are thicker as well.
Yeah, the bases are like... That was probably the weirdest thing for me.
Oh, because they don't have like the angle on the base.
And they're just like a chunk, but it's kind of like Yeah, it's very strange. It's just I've been hanging out with a Warhammer too much.
Yeah. But no, they're really fun little miniatures, and just from like a painting them perspective, I've been enjoying it, and so I'm gonna get a bunch of them stuck together and try and do the rest of them in like one big batch. So I'll have a squad of stormtroopers, and hey, who knows? Maybe at some point I'll get to play a game of Legion.
Well,
that'd be fun.
I do have one question for you. How are you going to incorporate this into your Grot Rebellion army? Because you obviously will.
Well, I mean, technically. So my idea of this renegade faction was actually that they are a group that went renegade before the Empire fell and just went to be off like shitty mercenaries.
Okay.
So they kind of were a
grotty rebellion.
A grotty rebellion, yes. They weren't on the side of the rebellion, but like they just pick up mercenary jobs. That was sort of the idea I had because I realized that there is no like sequel era or like post original trilogy era setting for the game. There's like the Clone Wars, because you can get Clone Wars era stuff and original trilogy era stuff. So if I wanted to play a game, then I'd need to have a reason for them being around in that, and so that would be my excuse basically.
No, that's right.
Is that they're just a group of stormtroopers who went rogue at some point. Yeah. So yeah, that's fun. Last thing to briefly mention is I have been burning through the rest of Bob's Burgers. I mentioned that a few episodes back.
Yeah.
That I've been watching it, and that the first couple of seasons had a few jokes in it that were a bit
very dicey.
But over time it got a lot better, and like I actually started really enjoying it. I think I got like season 3 or 4 or something like that, and I'm now on like season 9, which is the last one that's on Prime.
Okay.
Which is good that that's the last one on Prime, because it goes off Prime in like a day. Like we're recording this on the 28th. On the 29th, it disappears off Prime.
Do you need to leave?
I need to leave and watch more Bob's Burgers, because that show gets really, really good. Got so much heart to it. As it goes on, they really sort of like figure out the characters, and I don't want to say that this show occasionally has something to say, but just going to point out a couple of episodes, just at random here.
Yeah.
There is an episode that is based entirely around the concept of a rent strike, because the person who owns the town has put the price up, and then he organises a competition to make all of the residents fight amongst each other to try and get cheaper rents. The losers, of course, still having to have the higher rents. So, showing people with power pitting the working class against each other in order to service their own ends.
Could you not make Bob's Burgers political, please? It's obviously just another storyline.
And I think the second to last episode I watched was one in which the kids make a business, and a handful of the kids are made to be the workers, whilst the other ones are the management, and the workers are told that they have to produce things quicker, and so
they can make more profit.
So they can make more profit, which doesn't go down to the workers, and because they're making them work quicker, the product becomes more shoddy, thus undermining the entire enterprise. So I'm not saying this show has anything to say about working class plight, but it's a good show. I really enjoy it. And it's also just funny, and the amount of commitment that they go into for some weird little bits. Like, the show has always had little songs in it, like from the beginning, but as it went on, it became like a more fundamental part of it, and whoever writes the songs for that show, occasionally you get ones and you go, if this wasn't being sung by like comedy characters doing stupid voices, this is actually like a really nice melody you've written there. Or it'll have like a really interesting like musical flourish in it with okay, so that has like a round kind of style thing going on it. That like uses like weird bits of falsetto here and then goes down an octave for the rhyming section, the rhyming part, the next iteration. Like, okay, just interesting little parts musically. You're like, someone really cares about this music, and I appreciate whoever it is that does that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bob's Burgers is good. Very, very much enjoying it. And I'll be able to enjoy it for approximately a day. Until it disappears, so that's good. But that's me done. I'm sorry that took so long.
You always take so long, it's fine.
I know.
But that's
So I
okay,
need to know
'cause
that.
that's okay, because we like you. Oh, you're talking about the sex.
Yes, it was a sex joke. So Matthew,
Yes.
do you have anything you wish to talk about?
Do you have any sex stuff to talk about?
It can include sex jokes if you wish.
Can it not?
No.
No, it has to.
Okay. I've got quite a large size courgette that me and Ruth are quite impressed with.
Oh,
Yeah, but you shouldn't use that in any kind of fashion, because that's actually quite dangerous. It has a lot of ridges in which to store things. If you're going to do that kind of stuff, don't use fruit or vegetables. Always use an actual toy. And make sure you are adequately lubricated. And if you're doing anything in the butt, make sure it has a flared base, because otherwise it can get sucked up
Is your
into your
butt
butt.
yeah.
Yeah. This is my I like it how I'm like, hey, let's talk about whether you could like I don't know, if you could punch a bear and it would feel it, and then I'm just like, so anyway, here's some incredibly like appropriate, up to date, and sex positive fact or like advice. Anyway,
You are a land of contrast, my dear.
you literally said that to me as I was deciding between a cute bunny mug that I think is like the actual design was Elegant Bunny, which is white and pink and has flowers and stuff, or my Doom 25th anniversary mug. And I was like, And he just came up and went, darling, you are a land of contrast. And I was like,
Is that
fuck.
how I sound?
You're very, very English. Yes.
Okay.
You talk real fancy is what I'm saying.
I don't think I talk real fancy.
The fact you went, I don't think I talk real fancy, kind of says everything. Your received pronunciation is such where you fucking do sound that fancy. You do talk fancy. You do a big fancy talking.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Should I stop?
No.
Okay.
It's just an observation, sweets.
It is actually a thing where I'm very aware that over time I sort of stop myself from sounding more like I'm from Derbyshire.
That's classism.
Presumably
Inherently classism.
it's because some kind of internalized thing of classism there. So I try and stop doing that now and just let myself sound Derbyshire from time to time.
Yeah, same. I just talk, however, because that's what I talk like.
I'm going to really annoy that person that commented that said, oh, internalized homophobia isn't a real thing, because now I've just said internalized classism. Also, you're wrong and fuck off.
Also, fuck you, Jeremy. Go and make out with a hot pie.
So Matthew, yes, carry on. Talk about talking about your courgette if you wish.
Well, no, I just had to make a sex joke on the spot, and it was hard.
My man.
Were you thinking about that in that entire time we were waffling?
Genuinely wasn't.
Oh, so,
Excellent.
So that was a spontaneous, phenomenal sex. But I'm Matthew. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So
I'll take a bow, but it's an audio. Anyway,
Headbutt the microphone.
I played some games.
Yes.
So
video games.
I have finished on the Switch Steamworld Heist, and it is really flipping good.
Ooh,
to the point where I finished it on like the normal difficulty, and then at the end there's you go through all the levels, and at the end there's like a black hole that appears, and you go into that, and basically it's sort of New Game Plus in that you play it again, but all of the you start back from zero experience and level 0 of all your characters, but you start with all of the characters that you find as you play through the game. So it means that you can start leveling them up at the start, so you don't find people later on you don't know how they work. You can sort of start with them when the game's a bit easier.
Oh, rad.
Nice.
So yeah, I put it up to like elite difficulty. The highest like 5 difficulty levels, and I had it on the 3rd one to start with. So I was like, right, well, I love this game and I want to play it again, so I'm just going to play through the entire game on the highest difficulty level with some new characters that I don't know how to do. So I've just finished it for the 2nd time and I'm like, you guys know me, like I don't replay games that often.
No.
But I've replayed this one. Yeah, I think I don't know how many hours it took. I think it said like 35 hours or something.
Oh, dang.
To play through it 2 times. But yeah, it's a really good game. It's much better than a 2015 Nintendo 3DS game should be. to the point where it's not just a good game for that, it's just a genuinely good game. And it is available on iOS, I think I saw. I don't know how much it costs on iOS.
It's usually about, like, those things kind of usually cost anywhere between, like, £3 and £8. Or, like,
yeah,
10
it
quid.
probably shouldn't be more than a couple of quid, to be honest. It's a bit old.
I mean, the thing is, the fact that you've got 35 hours out of it, like, and you have replayed it, is like, that's a massive, like, that's a glowing
it is a really good game, and I highly recommend it. I don't have much more to add, but I just wanted to say that, that's how much I liked it. I played a new, for me, PC game.
Oh.
You might not have heard of it. Wibbs probably has, but Snipe, you probably haven't heard of it. I played Doom 2016.
My man!
Yeah.
Oh my god, how fucking good is it?
It is very good.
It is so
very
good.
Although, I mean, it is very good, and I like the whole, there's a bit of a story, but then you don't really listen to the story. You go off and punch things, and it's great.
It's kind of a nod to how, like, closed-minded John Carmack was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
He was like, oh god, story's so boring and unimportant, and that's never going to take off, and it's like, John, fuck off.
You're great at making engines, but maybe you were not great on this one.
He was
comment.
He was a gifted, like, technical guy.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
not interested in
Yeah,
like anything.
Demons
John
are bad,
Romero
and you
was.
have
That's
to
what
shoot
John Romero
demons. What more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like I always like the kind of story stuff which would get me made fun of, because obviously I like the stories because I'm a girl.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like it's like, fellas, is it gay to like fiction, or like it's like, okay, right? But
So
yeah,
I'm just making a note here. So, liking stories in video games, girly, getting angry about small changes in lore in Warhammer 40,000, manly.
Masculine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, if you get like really angry and scream at people and rage during a game, that actually is that makes you more masculine and virile.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
Increases your sperm count tenfold, I hear.
Yeah.
Not that you're gonna do anything with it ever.
No.
I was going to talk about like something tangentially related, but it's like, no, that's literally that's not for podcast stuff. That's off the tracks.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't want to know where sperm counts is going to take you. So Matthew, please carry on with what you're going to say.
Doom is a good game. I mean,
It's a fantastic game.
Although, so I really love the mechanics of, you're low on health. What do you do about this? You have to run headlong at enemies because that's how you get health back. Like, it's such a simple thing to like make you go
but it
forwards
keeps up
and
combat
progress.
flow perfectly.
Yeah.
It
It's
encourages
really
a
good.
highly aggressive kind of playstyle, which honestly fits it perfectly.
It's good, but there is a few bits. There's a few. Cause I was expecting it to be like charge forward and do that, but there's quite a few bits where I've just killed all the baddies and things, and I'm in this thing and I'm trying to work out where to go, and I've wandered around like at the empty room trying to find which door to go in, like quite a few times, way more than I was expecting to. I don't know if it's just I haven't quite clicked with the level design yet. That's surprisingly hard to say.
I mean, like, I did find in 2016 there was a couple of places where I just got hopelessly lost.
Yeah, and there's like a bit I was like, where do I go here? And there's like, oh no, you have to wait for the tram thing to go past, then you go through this great thing and then go round the back and then open the door from behind, and which is fine. It's good, and I'm not saying it's bad level design at all. It's just it doesn't quite click with the whole just charge forward blindly at the enemies sort of thing. I feel like someone just jams the handbrake on every now and then, which is a little bit weird. And I'm not saying it's still a good game, and I'm really enjoying it. Don't get me wrong.
No, I mean, you can dislike parts of it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much that I can say that's good about it that's adding anything new to the conversation. So I was like, let's find something to criticise. And not because
fair.
I want to just criticise, but just because everything good that could be said about Doom 2016 has been said already in 2016.
By me.
And then by you every day since,
Yeah. Yes, honestly.
We have a little sign that is very real. Nobody check. That's next to the computer for podcasts, which is like a day since Doom 2016 was mentioned on the podcast.
Oh, day since Doom was mentioned.
Yeah. It's
God, I honestly, like, no word of a lie, I do think I mention it like at least once a day.
Yeah, it's only that timer has only ever got to 14 days, and that's because we record every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there's another one that's every time I mention Star Trek, and to be honest, we just took that down.
Yeah, we took it down because honestly, like, we were wearing through to the wall behind it, and you don't want to avoid our lease.
Yeah, like, we don't really want to see your neighbours. You wear all the way through the wall.
No, not really. But yeah, no, like, it did have a problem, especially with, like, the commitment to the old school kind of, like, map kind of thing, where it's like, gamers are so coddled now, you have arrows. It's like, motherfucker, please. I remember Resident Evil 1. Fuck you. We needed arrows. How dare you?
Yeah, I think there's...
all that fucking... we didn't put this stuff in to make pathfinding easier. It was literally to pad out the game time.
Yeah.
It is a holdover from, like from old game. Like, Earthworm Jim, for the fucking SNES, you can complete that in 15 fucking minutes, which is why, like, they made old games really hard and bullshit. So
Oh, yeah, you can complete, like, the original Castlevania in, like, 15 minutes.
I think the record's like 8 or something.
It's something silly like that.
Yeah.
Like, I, terrible video gamer man that I am, I've beaten Castlevania 1 in 40 minutes flat.
Yeah.
And
Which is honestly, that's fucking awesome.
And I'm bad at the game. I just really commit...
As a complete unrelated aside, how long did it take for you to practice to get up to that point?
Hours and hours
don't
and
wanna
hours. It was to the point where when he finally completed it for the first time, I literally took a photo of him. He asked me to take a photo of him kneeling next to the TV with his thumbs up. That's how fucking long it took.
Castlevania 1's like a notoriously difficult game. So.
Oh yeah, I'm not taking anything away from your
so
achievement
amazing.
at all. I'm just saying that saying it took you 40 minutes is underselling it slightly.
It's like,
oh yeah,
and that's kind of like, as an artist, it's like,
yeah, no, that's the
it
point.
took like this piece of art took me 40 minutes. Oh yeah, but how long did it take you to learn to do that in 40 minutes?
Yeah, well, but that's
25 years.
But that's the point I'm making, is that, when you're talking about like old school difficulty, it's the actual game content. Once you know how to beat them, you can beat them quite fast.
Yeah.
But it was about getting you to stay there. It's one of the reasons why I think there is a frankly very toxic discussion around game difficulty that usually gets quite hard into ableism quite quickly, and doesn't really capture the nuance of a lot of things, because like me, a lot of my favourite games of all time, Castlevania, Dark Souls, Binding of Isaac, games that are like notoriously quite difficult, I really love them, but it's not because of the difficulty. It's just that happens to lean into the game design. And there's lots of games that I adore that aren't very difficult. Like, you can just breeze through them.
And that's like completely fucking fine. It's like, I saw a
Night
great
in the
meme.
Woods. Night in the Woods is one of my favourite games, but I don't think that could
That's
really...
not difficulty,
That's not
really.
difficult. There's no difficulty in that game.
No, it's because it doesn't need to be difficult.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's...
I failed
I
at the
do
knife
hate
fight
that-
a couple of times.
Oh yeah, no, I think I won that. That was a pretty good knife fight. But yeah, it is frustrating because it's like, hey, games are supposed to be enjoyable, and if somebody wants to enjoy a game by putting it on the easiest difficulty, fuck you for thinking you have any agency in their choice to enjoy themselves.
I mean, I will say, just to add a little bit of clarity there, I think there is also room for games that are not supposed to be enjoyable, that are not supposed to be fun, that they're sort of there to engage.
No, this is
in
the
one
thing.
way or another.
What I said was kind of a blanket statement, like a binary statement, which, let's be honest, is never helpful, but it is for ease of discussion.
Yeah. That's why I thought I'd elaborate.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Because like when you're talking about stuff like things that would make like there's a whole this handheld, players are handheld by like all these arrows, and like there is problems with like players being led everywhere because it means people don't explore properly.
But at the same time, it's not needed. Like Night in the Woods, it's like, well, you can go and do whatever the fuck you want, but you can't not really progress. It's like...
Well, I'm less talking about that.
I'm just using that as an example.
I'm more talking about how, say, for example, like... your average open world games like your Far Cry's, Mad Max, things like that. I have a very small frame of reference because I don't play many of them.
Yeah.
But you can play the most of the exploration-y like parts by looking at the mini map.
Yeah.
because it's just pointing you in a direction to go, and you go there. And there is things I do think that robs you of, because you're not really exploring the world. Like I've been playing through Neverwinter Nights recently, and that never tells you like with an arrow where to go. It tells you where to go in the story, but it then has on the map labeled where this place is. So it gives you all the information you need to find the place, and I think that's a good balance of like how to do that, because that tells you everything you need to know without leading you by the nose.
Well, I mean,
but
I would say every game is different. Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't work in Dark Souls, but it does work in other games, and that's completely fine.
Yeah, and I totally understand why there is some frustration with that.
No, I understand.
but-
I just think that the discourse is so often overshadowed by this toxic fog of like, my dick is bigger than yours. Oh yeah,
if you can't beat the game on this mode, then
Dante
you're not
Must
a real
Die
gamer.
mode is just too easy. Like Hell and Hell mode is just too easy. Oh, if you don't play this game on anything apart from the most eye-bleedingly difficult setting, then you just shoot on and uninstall and bleh. And I literally have nothing else to my personality because I'm so insecure that I think that being a dick on the internet makes me an interesting human being.
I play basically any game made before a certain point on easy mode because I remember how janky and weird they could be.
Fucking too right, Dolan.
Or it's like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, where the combat is so bad that you're like, nope, no, gotta make sure this is on the easiest difficulty possible, because fuck.
So the takeaway from us three old fucks is, if you want to play a game on the maximum difficulty, or you don't want to do that, that's fine, and we will literally punch people who tell you that that's not fine. And there's
I mean,
a
possibly not
fucking
literally.
ton. I will literally punch people.
But anyway, Matt, you were talking about Doom 2016 before we started waffling,
Yeah.
so please carry on.
I mean, that's...
Is good.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
I need to stop playing games that is just universally everyone's already had a big conversation about saying how good they are.
I
'cause
mean-
I have very little to add to this conversation.
Yeah, but the
But-
thing is, no, you don't have to do that. You can just play whatever the fuck
Yeah.
you want and come in and go, actually, I liked this part, and we can go, yeah, and then it's good.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Or alternately, you can go and play that Smurfs game that was made for the Game Boy Advance and tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I
So-
have played a game, so I've played a third game this week,
Oh,
which isn't quite as popular. It's called The Escapists.
oh yes.
That rings a
I've been
bell.
meaning to play that.
I've been playing it on Switch, and this is going to be related to what we were just saying in terms of hand-holding and things, because I have no idea what I'm doing. So,
I mean, that's me every day, but I understand.
So it's a top-down pixel arty type game where you're controlling a prisoner in a prison, and the whole point is you wanting to escape. And I don't know if it's because it's on the Switch, but I cannot get my head around the controls at all. Like, there's a button to like interact with things, which is different to the button to pick up and drop things, which is different to the button to like sometimes you use to climb up on things to change to different levels if you want to get in the pipes and things. And I like the D-pad, like the different ones go to different crafting menus or journals and things. And I just can't remember what any button does at any point. So I keep doing things like I've got a spoon equipped or something, and then I want to talk to a guard and I accidentally like start digging a hole right in front of him, or things like that. I was like, what am I doing?
I mean, that is a fucking power move. Like, hey, officer, sup? Like digging a hole in
I'm
the
just gonna
floor.
leave. Yeah, oh yeah, I really want to enjoy this game, and I've only played it for about an hour, so I'm going to keep at it because I really want to enjoy it because the whole plotting how to escape thing is really good. But yeah, you're just dropped in, and the controls make very little sense. At least on the Switch, maybe on the PC with like a mouse and keyboard, it makes a bit more sense. And then like what you can do, I just can't work out what you get in trouble for and things like. I went outside and was like, okay, well, I'll just have a bit of a play what I can do. Let's start digging a hole right at the end. And I went right to the corner of the thing where there's no cameras because I'm on the starting level. It's like, I think the prison's called like Centre Parks or something, basically. It's like, why would anyone want to escape from this, but you still do, sort of thing. So I went right there and I started digging a hole just to see how that worked. And then like that night, it was like, there's been a hole and it's been traced back to you. Here's 3 days in solitary. I was like, but okay, so I can't... I haven't got my head round like its logic at all.
It feels like you've literally started playing the game like 20 hours in.
Yeah, it does. It feels exactly when I first started. It's like, right, do you want to play a tutorial? I was like, okay, cool, yeah. And the tutorial is you wake up in your cell and you go up into the air vents and then go to another cell and then leave, and then that's it. And that's basically the whole tutorial. And then he just throws you into game and says, right, you're in a prison. I was like, do I need to escape is there a time limit? Do I need to escape in a day? Or I think what it's trying to get you to do is like you get, because it's like a routine. There's lights out, and then roll call at the start of the day, then breakfast, then a bit of free time, then lunch, and you've got to sort of then work time. So you sort of, I think what you're meant to do is sort of do the normal day, build a routine, working out who all the different inmates are and what some of them are selling you and all the guard routines and all this sort of stuff. And you very slowly work out how you're going to escape. And I don't think it's like you play for 20 minutes and then you punch a guard and leg it sort of thing. But because I haven't got my head round that sort of thing, I have no idea what I'm meant to do.
Yeah,
I think it's because you can escape from there's presumably many different ways of escaping, because there's loads of items like ladders and ropes and various weapons and shovels and guard uniforms, and I think that you can escape in loads of different ways. And I think you're meant to be slower, but I just cannot get my head around what it's wanting me to do at all. So I just keep getting thrown in solitary for various reasons.
Reminds me of my fucking academic life. I don't know what I'm doing. Throw her in solitary. No.
And I really want to like it. One of my favourite board games I used to have as a kid, we had Escape from Colditz, which was a really fun board game, which my dad hated because one person has to play as the Nazi guards and everyone else plays as inmates who are trying to escape. And obviously, you bully your dad into doing that as kids. So
you were like
bullying your dad into being a Nazi.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the title of this podcast.
I am totally not making that the title of this podcast. That is an episode that is not getting monetized. Jesus fuck.
Well, I don't know. Probably is. If we talk about like,
I'd say it's different because he's like a literal Nazi, but not that different to. No, I don't. Hang on. Wait.
Wait. I'm sorry. Your dad is amazing. You're meaning to tell me that he's been a Nazi the whole fucking time.
This is a weird way to expose your dad as a fascist,
right? No. I mean that he's playing. I guess I'm digging a hole.
He's not a real Nazi. This plays well on TV.
Please. Exonerate your father for us, so we can move on.
He's playing as a literal Nazi in this game, and I was making the joke that there isn't literal Nazis around the world nowadays. Oh wait, hang on, there basically is. Is the point I was trying to make, not my dad.
Yeah, no,
there are real Nazis in the world, and we need to do something about them.
And they're not your dad.
But they are not Drummer Matt's dad.
Because Drummer Matt's dad is a really nice dude.
And is, as far as we're aware, not a Nazi.
No.
But yeah, Escape from Colditz is a really cool board game where you like have to go around and collect items and work together and then escape. And this is like the video game version of that, and I was really looking forward to playing it. But I cannot get my head around its sort of mindset and then also the controls.
It feels like you need to go and do like a full day's like wiki research.
Yes, that would definitely help.
And like it sucks that you have to do that, but like
I might just be missing something really obvious. And I'm not. It isn't necessarily a criticism because it is possibly more likely that I'm just being an idiot than the game's bad. So, and I don't think it is. And I really want to enjoy it, so I'm going to stick with it and I'll keep you updated. But I might just have to watch a whole bunch of like tutorial videos on YouTube before I play it.
Yeah, sometimes you get that where there's some games where you.
Well, I mean, can you imagine like picking up WoW now?
Oh yeah.
Jesus, it's like I see stuff like that. It's like, you need a 47-page instruction manual to get through something like that.
Several of the games that I talked about earlier about being games that I really love, like Dark Souls and The Binding of Isaac, both of those require heavy wiki reading to be able to like figure out how to do certain things. Hell, I recently played through Subnautica, fucking loved it, but like there's a few bits on that where it's like, oh, this item is hidden in this buttfuck nowhere area.
Yeah.
And you gotta, like, go find it, and it's ridiculous.
Like the Long Dark, there's, like, one place where there's an ammunition-making machine, and you need to do, a fucking assault course to get to the actual area, which is protected by a keypad, which doesn't have any power, and you don't have the key for, so it's only actually active, and you're able to get in during an aurora, where the power comes back on. But in order to get that key code, you have to go out through, Pleasant Valley, do, a literal, this trip, in real time will take you maybe 4 or 5 hours to get to an inaccessible part that you have to go through a ravine to get to this high point in the Bleak Inlet area where the keypad is. Get the keypad there, go back, avoid horrifying timberwolves, wait until there's an aurora, then go in, do the assault course again, and then put the key code in.
Good. So something that an average player will just stumble upon.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's just like, it happened to me hundreds of times accidentally doing it. But yeah, sorry, I got so into just going, that was fucking stupid, and I'm so mad about it, because I...
Yeah. So you've done it now, right?
No. But you know how you sit there and go, God, that's so stupid and unreasonable. I know I'm going to do that one day.
Yeah.
It's not today, but one day I'm just going to go,
Says
fuck
Snipe
you, I'm
insane.
doing it.
Oh.
Yeah, I got the... To be fair, that was a healing process. It was a self-care thing, getting the insane title.
Yeah, the insane title in World of Warcraft requires a truly obscene amount of work for those that are not aware.
It took me about 6 to 8 months.
I think to sum it up, you have to get friendly with 2 factions. If you do anything for either faction, the other faction hates you.
Yeah, so you have to do it in a very specific order. Yeah. And it was like, oh yeah, you also need to have a rogue. So I literally, this is back in, when top level was level 90. So I just leveled a human rogue to max level, because that was easier than doing it with another character.
Because humans have a bonus to their reputation.
Yes, and rogues can pickpocket, which you need... You needed to turn in lockboxes for, I think, Ravenholt or something stupid. But yeah, so that was fun. The hours I spent in fucking Tanaris, just like fan of knifing the fucking Venturecoat like dudes. Oh my god! And like, there's a part in what is it? It's the Arathi Highlands in the old like burnt out like area. Of just literally standing there on a dock, fan of knivesing, for about 3 solid days. No, it was more. And then there was another person who was doing it, had also leveled a rogue. They were coming in and was like, oh, still at it. And I'm like, yeah, friend. And you always encounter, like... So yeah, that was absolutely insane.
I feel like Blizzard should probably send you a physical thing if you've actually managed to do it.
They should literally send me John Bernthal. Because it was that difficult.
I do not believe Blizzard as a company has ownership over John Bernthal.
Oh, no, not ownership. That'd be really gross and weird. Basically just them going, hey, so this, like, fucking person in the UK, she got the insane title.
Can we employ you for a very weird acting job?
Would you be okay with going over and just basically, pretending to be a big dog? And curling up in her lap so she can pet you. And only if, like, he'd be okay with it, because otherwise that would be really weird and gross. And then I could just sit on the sofa, just petting John Bernthal.
So, he's married, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, his wife's got a consent as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can imagine him being, like, on the phone to his wife. And being
hey, honey.
So I've got this new job. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a weird sex thing. The pay's pretty good, though. Yeah, definitely a weird sex thing. Yeah, I've got to be a dog. Yeah. No, nothing like that. But they're definitely getting off to it. Yeah, no, I'll pick up some milk on the way home. Yeah. That's how I imagine.
That's the thing is, like, I do kind of like I do kind of don the title of Thirst Queen, but at the same time, if John Bernthal, like, after being contacted by Blizzard Entertainment, wouldn't be interested, then I'd be like, well, that's a shame. But
you would accept a cash prize.
I would accept a cash prize, or maybe John Bernthal just sending me a thing, like, being like, hey,
picture of his thigh,
a detailed letter as to why he doesn't want to be your dog.
I mean, he doesn't even
literally
need to explain.
A cease and
no
desist.
is a complete sentence, so I'd be fine. Yeah, literally a cease and desist.
This is a restraining order gets sent to you. And that's it.
Wow. It's just literally, it's an A4 piece of paper just scrawled on, stop fucking talking about me, weirdo. And then I'd be like, John Bernthal knows who I am.
You stay away from me, right?
Snipe, you don't act right, John Bernthal.
That would be your proudest possession.
I have no idea how we got here. Matthew, please carry on.
So yeah, Escapists, I really want to enjoy it because in theory I should enjoy this game. So I'm going to stick at it and I'll report back.
I'm proud of you. You got this.
Yeah. That's me done.
And I'm sorry to hear about your dad.
My dad.
You see, we've all said that it's going to be really awkward now when you you go into the loft or something and you find his collection of like SS memorabilia.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's going to be even more awkward because he's not ideologically a Nazi or a fascist or anything like that. It's just all PVC SS uniforms because it's a sex thing.
Okay, I'm not sure that's better.
Well,
I think it's. I mean,
did I ever tell you about Dirty Sanger's where he found his dad's porn collection? Did I fucking tell you about this?
I believe you have, but I think the internet needs to know. Not least because this is a person who is referred to by the moniker of Dirty Sanger.
Yeah. Okay. So a guy I went to college with, Dirty Sanger.
Yeah.
Because he was a grubby little man. Oh, he was dreadful. He would just sit there and be like, might go home and have a wank. And we were like, all right, Sanger. Okay, thank you for that.
Please wash your hands afterwards.
I am all. Well, he wouldn't.
No, of course.
No, he wouldn't.
He's Dirty Sanger.
Yeah,
why would he?
Dirty Sanger, the most peak thing Dirty Sanger ever did was he got really fucking lashed on tequila at a hostel in London, passed out face down in the hallway, threw up multiple times, so he had sick and God knows what else matted in his hair, and then didn't shower for the rest of the week that he was staying there. So that gives you some good insight into Dirty Sanger. He would go through his dad's porn collection because I don't know why. It's why would you ever want to see what your parents get off to? That is so fucked. But he would just do that, and he was like, yeah, so I found this DVD, and it was I can't remember, it was like Lust in the Bunker or something weird like that. When it was set in World War II Nazi Germany, and it was this SS officer boning a bunch of women in a dungeon, and he was like, oh, it was really weird. So I was cranking it, and then he pulls out this he pulls his dick out this woman's mouth and just spaffs all over her back, then Nazi salutes and screams Hail mein Führer while he's jizzing. And he's like, gonna be honest, I couldn't come after that. Yeah, mate. Now, why were you watching Nazi pornography?
What did you expect?
Yeah, what did he expect?
This is an episode made of things that should be a podcast title, but we absolutely can't use as a podcast title.
That's literally me. But yeah, God, what a weird little man he was.
Yeah. I mean, at least the sight of someone, glorifying Adolf fucking Hitler was a line that he could draw and was like, oh, I can't masturbate to that.
No, it wasn't that. It was just because it was out of nowhere and it ruined his immersion.
Oh, so he has to. His porn has to have verisimilitude.
Yes, apparently.
Okay.
So yeah, he was on board with it up until the guy just spaffed and just shouted out of nowhere, "Hail Hitler" or whatever.
I mean, to be honest, that sounds like that is very in keeping with the spirit of the pornography thus far. But
yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe there was a nuance to that character that meant that it didn't feel like he would say that, and that we're just missing that from Dirty Sanger's retelling of Lust in the Bunker.
I don't know if that was his actual name, but it was something like that. Or Lieben in, love her in the bunker or something weird. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, so I can't remember how I got here.
What,
this
story,
insinuating
the podcast?
that, Drummer Matt's dad is into that kind of pornography.
Yes.
Sorry.
We're very sorry to Drummer Matt's dad.
I'm sorry, Mr. Webb, don't be mad at me.
We don't believe that you are a Nazi, either ideologically
not even
or as a
sex
sex
Nazi.
thing.
We don't believe you're a sex Nazi.
We should probably get off this subject.
Yeah. Anyway...
Snipe.
I've only had an hour's sleep.
Yeah,
that'd be it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, we're not responsible for the Matt's dad thing because Matt totally did that.
Yeah, he brought that on himself. I am blameless.
I mean, maybe not that far. I feel that we should now move on to Snipe's section and...
Are you sure that's wise?
And try and forget all that has come before this.
Fair. But remember, Matt has to ask me. Otherwise, it's not special.
Okay, Snipe.
Hey.
What have you been up to?
Not much.
Alright, okay. Questions.
Honestly, I've been having some rough mental health times, so I've not been really doing much new. I did mention A Way Out last podcast, which I've been playing through on stream with Longfang. We finished it, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but holy fucking hell, that ending hit like a truck. It was really well done. It reminded me of, like, you know, the campiness of Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah.
Which kind of almost in a way makes the serious emotional parts hit that much harder.
I'd say it absolutely does that, because it means that it doesn't have just a weighty tone all the way through. It means that you get the contrast.
Exactly. And it basically does that. So A Way Out is just bananas. It's got some really shitty, just tediously bad gameplay parts. But the actual story, the characters, and just the weirdness of it does keep you... It sustains you through. The ending... oh my goodness. Like, just everyone was kind of like, oh, okay.
They're expecting fun pet the cow times.
But we didn't pet the cow. Not this time.
Not this time.
But yeah, no, I'm not going to say any more about it, just because I don't want to spoil it, because it was such a, whoa, okay. Right? But yeah, also, a lovely person suggested that I listen to the Magnus Archives podcast, and I think I'm on episode, like, 107. I have been burning... That is so good. You remind me of The Archivist, Wib, because you talk fancy. And you... Like, there's a part in it, I was just like, this is, like, peak comedic Wib, where he's reading a statement, because the premise of the Magnus Archives is... we follow the main character, Jonathan Sims, who is the head archivist of the Magnus Institute, which is like a fancy old institute that investigates and just takes statements of people who've come in and gone, so I was living in a haunted house, and they tell them all about it. And he's taking over from the previous archivist because, she left, and basically she just haphazardly she saw filing as a mere recommendation, and half the ones he's reading out won't record digitally, so he has to use it on this old tape player, so it's got that really nice warm kind of tape sound on it as well
that makes you want to fall asleep.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
And it's like, so he goes through and he reads the statements of people who've come in and gone, like, oh, this, I when I was, like, living in like, Leicester or whatever, there was a spooky guy who would show up, and I don't think he was here, and that kind of stuff. And then he kind of adds in at the end, especially in the early ones, he's a hell of a lot more cynical, and he's like, well, that obviously didn't happen. And he speaks very fancy, and there is one part that reminds me of A Joking You, which is, he's reading one out, where Sasha, his assistant, comes in, and she's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, and it's like, oh, okay, and she was like, oh, is that how that word's pronounced? Because he's just said a fancy word, and he's like, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. And she was like, I've always heard it like this pronunciation. And he's like, yeah, that's from the Americans. And they both go, And it's like, that is so beautifully English. Of just the kind of, Americans don't pronounce things good.
I have now advanced to a point in which I use both American and English pronunciations of words to annoy people.
Yeah,
interchangeably.
Which is cool.
It's a bit like how in Codex Compliant, I always write it in that we vary between saying codexes and codices.
Yeah, it's very fun.
To be annoying.
Yeah.
But also because there is the proper real-world pronunciation of it and the official GW pronunciation of it. And they say a GW officially says codexes, but it should be codices.
Yeah.
And so I write both of them and use them interchangeably, and sometimes in the same sentence, just because that makes me laugh.
Yeah. Anyway, Magnus Archives, very cool. The characters are incredibly likable, very, very well written, very, very well acted. I guess I'm biased because I'm apparently married to the archivist, but But yeah, it's really nice. And there's moments where, like, you know, someone will come in and they'll just have, like, it'll just be like an offhand chat. Like, oh, thanks, do you want a cup of tea? No, I'm a bit teed out. You know, that kind of, like, just really natural dialogue. And it really gives so much feeling to the characters, and like, it makes them feel incredibly three-dimensional.
Because a lot of the main people are English, aren't they?
Yes.
And I do think if there's one thing that in Britain we are good at, aside from creating all of the world's problems 150 years ago and then pretending like we're not responsible, is doing supernatural things, but with a level of mundanity that really accentuates them because it makes them feel more real.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm a big fan of English, like,
stoicism,
mundane supernatural stuff.
Honestly, it is cool. There are some kind of more fantastical elements that kind of occur, which honestly I think is handled incredibly well. It's not just out of the blue bullshit is silly, but it's kind of fun because especially early on, like when, say, he's reading statements and it'll be like, oh yes, and then this happened, and then, like, yeah, I'll get to the end and go, yeah, it's incredibly unlikely, and I feel that this person is just making it up, or, you know, like, this is easily explained with, you know, doing research on the buildings, health and safety records. It's obvious that this was probably just an overactive imagination, and, like, things like that. I mean, like I say, he does get less cynical over time, but it is still fun to basically sit there and go, yeah, like, that fucking happened. Like, you know, the biggest problem with, like, no sleep stories and creepypastas is, like, oh, I went to work and there was this Ju-on looking monster and she was eating a dog, and then she's holding a lost episode of Dragon Ball Z where Vegeta commits suicide, and, like, there is, like, Slender Man is there, and it's just so over the top and
I can't believe I got grudged again.
It's like, oh no, I've been grudged, fucking hell. But yeah, no, it's like some things kind of veer on that because because the person writing the statement is a bit more fantastical. And there's it's so intense. Like, I was literally, like, shopping when I was listening to one episode, and I literally just wandered around for like 5-10 minutes before I realized I wasn't actively looking at anything. I was just really engaged in the story, and I was like, oh fuck, okay, no, I need noodles, what am I doing here? But yeah, no, thank you to whomsoever recommended that to me. I think a couple of people did, and I'm incredibly grateful because it's fantastic. And if you like kind of spooky, kind of like audio radio show kind of things, then I can definitely recommend the Magnus archives. Very, very good. Also, Martin is a darling, and I want to hug him. He's the office assistant who's just like the little hi, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask if you wanted a cup of tea. You know, like that kind of. He's so cute. Everyone in an office environment has met a Martin, and he is a darling. But yeah, and the last thing I've been doing is, I don't know if I mentioned, I don't think I'd started at this point, but The Long Dark, I've been playing that. I got the Survive 24 days or whatever it was for the Winter's Embrace event. I got the badge for that.
Well done.
Thank you. I literally haven't played it since, and I probably won't. I haven't played that mode since because it was just so difficult. But yeah, it also possesses a bunch of challenges. So there's one called The Hunt, or The Hunted, I think, where you basically start off getting mauled by an unkillable grizzly bear. That's got it's full of arrows and shit. It's so fucking metal, honestly. And then
you are being hunted by like a metal album cover.
A gigantic black bear who is basically, you can't kill it until you need to get all the way to a specific location and shoot it with a gun, like a rifle that you find there. Nothing else will kill it, and it follows you all the time. And the thing is, like, bear attacks in The Long Dark, you've got, like, clothing durability, so, like, the more wrecked your clothes are, the less protection they offer, like from like wind or snow or like waterproof kind of things, or like durability. So like so yeah, and like if something reaches 0 durability, you can't ever repair it. It just it's ruined, and you have to just throw it away, and it offers no bonuses. So you start off getting mauled by a bear, which brings you down to 9% health and ruins all of your clothes. That's just what a standard bear attack does.
That is the worst part about being attacked by a bear, how it completely ruins your outfit.
It does. It absolutely does. And you have to basically fuck off. So it has like little things like that that's kind of playing with the format. There's one called, amusingly, there's like the Archivist, which I got by accident while doing the Nomad Challenge. Now, the Nomad Challenge is basically go through the game, because like the maps, the whole map is fucking huge. There's a lot of walking, which is why I've turned on the accessibility function of auto walk, which is a godsend, let me tell you. And you basically just have to visit certain points and spend 3 days there. So I think you start in Pleasant Valley, which is a bit tricky because there's a few farm buildings and stuff, but they're quite few and far between. There's bears there. There's a possible moose spawn. I have been attacked by a moose, and let me tell you, that shit is dire. You do not want to be attacked by a moose.
I think moose are...
They're monsters. They are terrifying.
Moose are the closest things in real life to a kaiju.
Yeah. They're like fucking, like, they can be like 2.5 meters tall.
They are like so impossibly tall. They are incredibly. But as humans, if a moose wants to do something, we have no point in like trying to object to them. They're just going to do it.
They're like Canadian hippos.
Yes.
They will fucking walk through you.
Except moose are weird and spindly and very obvious.
Knobbly and weird.
They're more monstrous, I feel, than hippo. Which is why I will go to my grave defending that moose are kaiju.
They're terrible, scary boys.
Yes.
But yeah, so like, I started in Pleasant Valley, and it's basically just like go to this area. So it's like, I think there's one place which there's an old church in Desolation Point, which is not a clever name.
Is it nicer than Pleasant Valley?
No, it's worse. Not as bad as the Bleak Inlet, but fuck that fucking place. I hate it.
But there's also like crushed to death by Rocks Valley. That's actually the easiest place in the game to survive.
No, that's a Mystery Lake. It's very nice. Or Coastal Town, which is quite nice too.
Okay.
I think that is for intermediate players. But yeah, there's also another one called Milltown, which is just a tiny little town. I think it's technically a village. Actually, I'm sure all the architectural nerds...
Technically, it's a hamlet.
Actually, it probably is more of a hamlet.
Fuck off.
But yeah, like, so, you got to go, spend 3 days in all these, like, I showed you the list. It is a fucking long list. Yeah. So that's not only, like, so for argument's sake, there's, like, 25 locations, let's say, and I have to spend 3 days in each of them. So that means that I have to account for travel time, think of the best route to get where, which I started in the Pleasant Valley, and I went all the way to, like, I think I went all the way to the other, like, end of the map, and then I had Timberwolf Mountain was my last place to stay. And that journey took me, like, 4 actual hours, because I was so far out, and I had a lot of gear on me, because, you're living out of a backpack.
Yeah, I did see, because watching you do this challenge of going from these one places to the other, and you gained
it's not a straight line either.
Yeah, you gained so many resources. I'd like look over, and your character is literally moving at a snail's pace down a road, and I'm like, can't you move any faster? You're like, no, I've got too much stuff. I'm like, can you leave any of that stuff? And you're like,
no, I need it.
Like, oh,
it's like, no, I need a backup pry bar because you can't repair pry bars. I need a backup toolbox because you can't repair tools. And, and I need all this because XYZ. So, like, I mean, I managed it. It was just taking it slowly and chilling.
So how many in-game days did it take you to complete this challenge?
106.
Okay. How many places did you have to stay?
Like 25. or something like that. I can't like around like it's a high number. And you can overstay because like the farmhouse in Pleasant Valley, I stayed nearly a week there because it was like a good middle point. So I would leave a bunch of firewood or like bullets or like maybe I had like 3 fucking revolvers at one point, which they're very rare. I would leave those at certain places as well.
I have a more upsetting question for you. How many hours did that take you in real time?
Honestly, nearly 60.
Oh.
Yeah. Because it's not just moving back and forth. It's not just travel time. You have to get food. You have to hunt. You have to... Oh, shit, there's a black bear directly in my path. And I can't run, so I'm just going to have to go the long way up this mountain.
What I remember from it is that when you first started it, like, wolves being, like, an issue for you, but then by the end of it, you were just, like,
I was baiting them. I was literally, like, going out and dropping a bunch of, like, gore and viscera and just standing there with my fucking rifle going, come on, then. I need... Because I had,
like... wolves would attack you, and you'd be so loaded down with stuff you couldn't even loot them.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I made myself a wolfskin coat, and if you make like special kind of animal skin stuff, they have certain bonuses. So, like, you can with bear hide, you can make like a bear skin like cloak, like jacket. So, and that means basically predators will just stay the fuck away from you because they are wearing a bear. Fuck this. Or, so it's like little bonuses, but then there's other things where it's like, I think the bearskin like coat weighs like 5 kilos, which is an outrageous amount for one piece of clothing.
Well, it is made of bear.
It is made of bear. So, oh god. Okay, so I killed my first bear. Sorry, Longfang. I killed my first bear in like 160 hours. I shot it in the head and it ran away. Then I shot it in the head as it charged me, and it died literally, like, would you say, like, 30, 40 centimeters away from me?
I'd say a lot more than that from what you showed me, but...
It felt like it was close.
It was like, it's very hard to have a true scale in like, a video game, because it looked about, like...
Once it gets within a certain amount, it kind of auto-grabs you.
Yeah, because it looked about 10 feet away from what you showed me.
No, it was much closer than that. I printed it.
10 foot is too close for a bear.
Yeah, like that's the point. Like
10 miles is too
100
close for a bear.
feet is too close to a bear.
Yeah. But and I managed to pop it in the face, and I managed to harvest 36.5 kilograms of meat. Literally, I was holed up in Mystery Lake for like a week just because I was like, well, I can't go anywhere with this much meat on me because I'll attract more bears and then I'll kill them and then I'll have another like 40 kilograms of meat and I'm going to be stuck here. Which is such a first world problem, but I was super proud of myself.
You were overburdened with meat.
Overburdened with meat.
Nice.
Thank you. But yeah, so, kind of like, and also walking the snail space because I had to carry so much on me. Like, I had to carry a lot of firewood because, like, I don't know why, but on my, because, like, it's all random. It's like,
shit.
What?
I just realised it. You're now no better than us.
What?
Playing a game where the main thing is you very slowly going from point A to point B for the only reason of going from point A to point B. It's like when I got obsessed with Elite Dangerous, and it's like when Matt got obsessed with, like, truck simulators.
Okay, that's... You know what? I'll give you half a point there. Because in the Long Dark, you actually have gameplay. It's not just moving from one place to another.
Oh no,
I have to hunt. I have to
of...
find firewood. I have to set traps. I have to skin and harvest things. I have to craft stuff.
There's loads of gameplay in Elite Dangerous like that. I just never engaged with it. I just went from planet to planet.
Okay, you see, I was actually playing the game, so, But yeah, it took me so long to do, but it was really cool, and that was like 106 days is my record. And annoyingly, I thought I could just continue afterwards. No. It just ends the challenge and goes, there you go, you did good, do you want to try again? And I was like, yeah.
I would like to have it just let me carry on.
Yeah, so I've got like a survival mode now, where I got a new badge which is spend 100 days outside, which gives you, when you equip it, plus 2 degrees to your permanent temperature, which, let me tell you, is not insignificant.
So basically you're always running a slight fever.
Without being, like, sick. Oh my god, I ate like fucking like a can of rusty condensed milk and got really sick.
Yeah, you will.
It was horrible. And then I had to take antibiotics. Don't ever do that for any reason unless you absolutely have to. But yeah, like in game,
I'm not
you
sure
have
I'm
to
okay.
take
I'm not sure
antibiotics because you get food poisoning and then you have to sleep for a solid 10 fucking hours.
I'm just going to say, I'm not okay with you putting out the don't take antibiotics as a statement.
No, don't take antibiotics unless it's absolutely necessary. That's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
And then
was
if
that?
it is absolutely necessary, stick with the whole course, because
Yeah.
otherwise you create superbiotics.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, don't do it unless it's absolutely necessary, and then take every fucking thing as prescribed, because holy shit. But yeah. And yeah, so I was like, oh no, I got David Hayter sick on condensed milk. That's the worst.
I'm absolutely 100% sure you will have done that previously in a Metal Gear game.
I did in Metal Gear Solid 3. Oh my god, that's why I love this game so much.
It's basically all the survival elements of Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
Except
I
that
still wish that there was
does
a way-
David Hayter go, tasty?
No, but when he picks up certain things, he can go, excellent. And I'm just like, oh. I'm in the middle of a blizzard, but damn am I hot. But yeah, I'll also like, he has like a couple of moments of forcing a really, really slapstick Canadian accent.
Oh.
So like you're walking through like, and like if you get really, really tired, he goes, oh, I'd lay down here if I thought I'd ever get up again. I'm like, oh my god, David, what are you doing? It's honestly, it makes me laugh every time I hear it.
I mean, I'm English, so I can barely tell the difference between a Canadian and American accent anyway.
It's completely different.
Like, I know, like, obviously, like, a broad Canadian one I can get,
Yeah,
but, like,
yeah.
half the time I'll go, oh, that person's Canadian. Oh, wow,
No,
I
I
feel
can't.
bad.
I can't tell either. I talk a good game, but yeah, and like yeah, so I managed to do that, and that was really freaking cool. And I felt very accomplished and awesome and badass.
Cool.
So
cool.
yeah, and that's basically all I've been up to, apart from doing a monumental amount of code breakers.
You have got very obsessed with doing code breakers, yes.
Well, remember when when we were first dating, I got super obsessed with them, and I filled out like 3 solid books, and then I just didn't touch them for 10 years.
Yeah.
What's Code Breakers?
A
Sorry.
code breaker, it's like a crossword puzzle kind of thing where
Oh, okay.
You get like a box where every box has its own number that corresponds to a letter of the alphabet, but you don't know what number corresponds to which letter.
Yeah.
Sort of
It gives-
halfway between Sudoku and, like, a crossword.
Yeah, I really
Yeah,
like them
yeah.
because it's just interesting.
Yeah.
But the one I got from a cheap like art shop, and it is not very good.
Oh, God,
because-
we're back on the fascists again, aren't we?
Yeah, it's like multiple times. One of the words has been the Ku Klux Klan.
You've had eugenics, haven't you?
Have had eugenics in there, and I'm just like, right, okay, and like it's obviously an algorithm, like just plucking words. Well, the thing is, like, there are 2 reoccurring things that I literally now it's just 3 letters for me. So it's like there's one that's monkey puzzles.
Okay.
Which is that is repeated like every 3rd code breaker. And jumping off place, which is a little bit more rare at about like double that. But like it's still like, oh, I noticed this begins in J and has a bunch of F's in it. Yep, it's that one again. So yeah. And I've burned through a couple of pens doing those, which shows you how much I've been doing them. So that's been fun. Keeping my brain busy. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, let's go to the questions of this podcast. Now, we of course have the new email. What is the new email there, Snipe?
Great question. Oh, thedrummermat@gmail.com.
So if you wish to
One
send us
word.
questions, send it to thedrummermat@gmail.com.
I'm kicking myself now because it should have been only drummermat@gmail.com.
Yeah, it should have been, but
But I did it because like you guys kept like negging me because like you were like, oh, you said you'd do it, but you didn't, and I'm like, okay, fuckos. Guess what, Pilgrim? I'm fucking doing it.
it's fine. It's fine. It's there has been some dissent with us changing the email.
Yes, there has.
Yes.
I think it's a lot of playful stuff, but still, there is a tone of seriousness.
Some people are not happy that we changed the email address to something that normal humans feel comfortable sending emails to. I'm with them on this, but, I was outvoted.
I mean, outvoted by one of us out of the three, but...
Yeah.
Well, both of you seem to be broadly in favour of it.
Well, no,
I was
absolutely.
aggressively in favour of it.
Okay, well, I got outvoted by the fact that it was my wife saying that this needed to be done.
Don't reinforce that boomer shit.
No, I mean...
Wife said no. Fuck off.
No, I just mean that I know you well enough to know that you're not going to back down on this, so yeah, okay, let's just do it.
My stubbornness is a virtue.
Mm-hmm. So... Well, anyway, I checked both emails. I'm not setting up a forwarding thing because I want to be able to not get... Because if you forward it, Gmail doesn't do redirecting, so it'd just be forwarded, so all the emails would come up as being from the other one. So I think it'd just be complicated. But anyway, it's easy enough to check them both. And we had about half and half in terms of which email address they went to.
We will be slowly phasing it out, so use thedrummermat@gmail.com.
I won't be, it's fine.
Oh. I know, but I'm threatening them so that it makes it a bit easier.
Even when we try and do something, we still do it the shittest possible.
Hey, don't bring me into this. That was Drummer Matt's shitting, not mine.
Well, it's just as easy to check both because you just click on the top
God,
and
Matt,
change.
shut the fuck up and read the questions. God
Okay,
dang.
let's fly through them relatively quickly. First up, let's see. Let's go with this. No, I had it in my head. Erdvertslettel. Yes.
Okay.
Bless you.
There's lots of umlauts. I had it in my head how exactly
Heck
to
yeah.
pronounce it, and then it just didn't come out my mouth right.
Look, dude, just ask Ruth. She can speak German. That's fine.
Yeah, makes it worse almost. Anyway,
Wow.
This isn't a question as a bit of recommendation. So they just listened to a podcast, and you guys and Longfang came to mind. So there's a podcast. It's a parody / side story, from the original Star Trek series.
Okay, so this
called-
isn't for me. Okay, fine. I'm going to dock out, nerds.
Well, it's called Ensign's Log.
Yes, I am familiar with that. Steve Shives does it.
Oh, you like Steve Shives.
Yeah, he does some good Star Trek content, yeah.
Okay, well, it's quite good apparently, and
I've heard. Yeah, I've been meaning to listen to it.
okay. Next up, Lars. Amongst many emails, most of which were train set related, which I won't go into, but there's quite an impressive train set going on. The question: what is thy opinion on bardcore?
Define
Is this
bardcore.
that thing where people take modern songs and then recreate them as medieval songs, both
Yes.
musically and adjusting the lyrics to fit in more?
Honestly, I think it's a really interesting creativity, like an experiment of creativity and kind of seeing how it would translate. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's not something that I personally
It's
listen
also nice
to,
to
but
see
it's cool.
people playing lutes and shit nowadays.
Yeah.
That's pretty rad.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, I find it's something that I find very interesting, and it's cool that people do it, but I don't really listen to it casually because
I'm glad it exists.
I'm glad
but
yeah.
I have all those sentiments, and I'm not going to have a go at anyone who likes it, but I'm incredibly disappointed by it.
Really?
I thought it was going to be like hardcore punk, but with lutes and shit.
Oh, that would be rad.
Yeah, right. That's why, because it's like bard hardcore. That's what it should be.
Oh.
You want,
And then I YouTubed it, and it wasn't that, and now I hate it because it's not what I thought it was.
This reminds me of we had a conversation about flavored rice cakes, and you got really mad because you hate them so much because I offered you one. You were like, no, betrayal. I refuse to eat them. And it was like, oh yeah, I ate a chocolate rice cake and it was really tasty, and then someone offered me one, and I thought it was going to be a chocolate one or a sweet one, but it was actually Texas barbecue flavor, and I have been emotionally scarred.
Yes.
So it's
the
this
savoury
again
ones are objectively good, but I hate them because I can't get over
because they
that
lied
first
to
thing.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm like this. I listened to it, I was like, oh, this could be cool, but I hate it.
I
This
don't know
is-
why
this
that
is
reminded me of
truly-
a really delicious scone I had today. It was so good, dude.
Okay, we're not talking about that scone, what you ate today.
It was the size of my fist, which is mighty and large.
Matthew, ask the next question.
Okay, Angus. We've got a question for each of us and an overall question.
Okay.
Wib, are we getting a Grot Rebellion video anytime soon?
Some point, yes.
Okay, good. Snipe, do you have any weird recommendations? Which is a very dangerous question, I feel.
Ooh. I would recommend the dating simulator coming out on top. And I would recommend you don't go out and date any of the hot men there. Just stay in and feed your fish.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember that now.
Okay. Good. My question was, do I have a YouTube channel? And I do not. One day, maybe. I'd love to. I really enjoy the very limited amount of video editing I've done. I've really enjoyed it. I want to have a YouTube channel just so I can edit some videos. But I don't know what it would be, and I have no time.
I mean,
you could just edit all of our stuff and we wouldn't pay you or anything. That'd be cool.
I mean, there is the whole thing of we've been making videos for 8 years now, which is terrifying.
Well, under the Snipe and Wib guy.
Under the Snipe and Wib thing, we did make some videos before that, but we don't talk about those because
and I made videos before that, which I don't ever do.
We don't talk about those.
No.
There was the dark times.
Yep.
The dark age of Windows Movie Maker. But we've never known what we're doing at any point, and we just went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
And look how well that went.
Look how well that is. We're moderately successful in a niche field.
Oh my god, we're uptown the other day, and a viewer came up to us and asked for our autograph.
Oh,
and they were a little bit nervous, but they were like, because I complimented on their pen because it was really cute. It was like a pink kind of twisty pen, and on the clip it had like a little Pegasus, and I was like, oh, this pen is so cute. And they were like, thanks, yeah, I saw you guys having lunch in the food court, and I went and bought the pen and this notepad so you could write on it. And I was like, oh, what an absolute treasure. And they had the most gorgeous nail varnish as well.
So yes, hello to that person if they happen to be listening.
Yes, hello. Thanks for coming up. It was lovely to meet you. But yeah, it was just that reminded me, and it was just like, oh, just makes my heart happy. Anyway.
Yeah. Good. Question to all of us.
Yes.
What is our favourite, I guess individually rather than collectively, what is our favourite current model? So not any old school models, out of the current available, presumably Games Workshop models.
For me, it's probably the Leviathan Dreads. I fucking love those models so much.
I'm going to say Gothizzar Harvester, because it's just got so much of what I like. It's dreadnought shaped, it's fucking covered in skulls.
It is made literally of skulls.
It really is just beautiful. I love it.
It is skulls holding more skulls.
I didn't know I wanted that until I saw the Gothizzar Harvester.
Yeah.
I should really get one day, but it's a lot of money for a model just to paint.
I get you.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Drummer, but what about you?
I was going to say some of the Gene Stealer Court vehicles, but actually thinking about them, I actually really like all the New York vehicles. You know, the racing car type ones. I've forgotten what the name of them was.
Oh, yeah, there's the shock drunk.
There's a
shock jump dragster and
there's a squig one or something. And
the fucking Rucker Truck Squig Buggy, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Also, I want to half and half with my answer. Also, the Scythe Hero Jewel, because it's beautiful and I love it, and it's a beautiful baby boy and I'll own it one day. Sorry, Drummer, might carry on. Sorry, was it
all those
Rubber
various
Baby
ones that I can't
trucking
remember what they're
bumpers?
called. Yeah.
Rubber Baby buggy bumpers?
Rucker Truck Squig Buggy.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
I didn't say I was a fan of the name.
It's ridiculous, even for orcs, and that's
probably,
honestly why I like it.
Thing is, I'm probably wrong with the name. I've never been able to internalise the name of any of the new ones, new buggies.
You're just like, truck.
That
You've
is,
been hit by. You've been struck by.
Truck. It's just a new buggy to me.
Yeah, but I really like them.
That's fair.
Next up, Theth.
Hello.
What is your favourite piece of fluff for a model you've made?
That was you just went for every octave there. How'd that feel? You pissed off some dogs. You've angered some deep ones. You're doing terrific.
I always kind of liked my old. I used to have, I mean, I've still technically got it, but I've not used it in many editions, a Deathwing army, which was the Sons of Desolus, who were they were a chapter that became a Deathwing army not out of choice, but out of, like, necessity. Because basically their entire chapter got eaten by orcs, basically, except for the vague remnants of the Fourth Company, who were the last ones left. And the First Company, who just happened to be off somewhere, and so that's why most of them are Terminators. And that was sort of my whole shtick. But their de facto chapter master was a guy I had called Captain Solomon, who was made out of the old Forge World Mark IV kit, but with bits of the old Chaos Marine kit that I'd scraped off all the old bits off, so they were like old-fashioned Marine stuff. And he was, his whole thing was that he was the person that basically saved the chapter. It was him that did it, even though the chapter master got murdered by orcs. And even though he is their de facto leader, he does not take on the mantle of chapter master because he doesn't believe that the chapter should have that until it is reformed as its back at full strength. So he is the chapter master, but he is the Fourth Company captain.
Yeah.
I was always kind of fond of that.
He's cool.
I don't think I've ever mentioned that before. But yeah, that was like the whole backstory I had for him. And yeah, unfortunately, I just never really did anything. And like the way the chapter is like organized, that the force isn't really legal anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know what to do with this old Terminator army I've got. So I'll figure out.
There's a special place in my heart for the Sons of Desolus.
Yes.
Mine would probably have to be... I have an Iron Priest, and she has a retinue. She hasn't got a name yet. She, like, in my army, like, I name the model after a trait I feel they exhibit during a fight. Luca was, lucky. Ingvar the belligerent, well, that explains itself, etc., etc.
Except he's called that because he kept falling off his base when you were painting him.
That's close, yeah. But the thing is, it's like, that's still something I noticed about the model, so that's kind of how I do it. She has a retinue of wolves. Not cyber wolves, just regular wolves, because she prefers them to normal people or other Marines, and she likes dreadnoughts a lot. Because, She just prefers dreadnoughts and wolves to people. She is not a self-insert, I've just realised, no. But the thing is, she's the strong silent type, so you obviously know it's not me. But yeah, and she is just, and like all the dreadnoughts like chatting with her, even though she is quite taciturn. Because like my dreadnoughts aren't very chatty, apart from like Luca, who likes to just basically say something and then just sit there and listen to people talk. He's not really a speaker, but yeah. And she likes puppies because, well, they'll just come and hang out with you while you're doing stuff.
Dogs are good.
Yeah, basically.
A controversial take from the MisanthroPod.
Shock horror, dogs are the best things in the world, oh my god. But yeah, so, that's a relatively new piece of lore for like my my Iron Priest, but she's really cool. And her health frost pistol is murder.
Oh, it is. I do not like that thing.
That's kind of where I get the kind of like she's just not interested in like talking that much.
I remember that one game where she walked through like an entire squad of Wraith Guard.
Because you killed her wolves.
Yeah.
Or you injured them. So she was like, okay, and just she fucking cut. Because it came down to like one last one, and she just belted it with her hammer.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't
just
pretty.
Fucking obliterated it.
So, Matthew, I hope you're going to talk about Lefty now.
Because if you're not, we're going to
it has to be Lefty. Lefty's the best. Lefty stood on a rock and then phased with the rock. That's a... It's not really fluff.
It's not really fluff, it's just
he just has a
joke we have about a model you've got second hand.
No, I don't really have too much, to be honest, because like my army is they're Tau and they're Tau colours because I started collecting them so long ago I had no creativity then, apparently.
Fair.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned my plans for my Gene Stealer Cult Army, which I quite like.
I really love the idea of that, and I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, we'll get there one day.
Yeah, in maybe about like 18 years or so.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Maybe when I do that, I'll make a video about them and tick 2 things off.
Hi, YouTube 3.
Hello, whatever platform replaces YouTube and hopefully doesn't have quite so much of a problem with reactionaries.
It'll be U3. YouTube.
Yeah.
You
Okay, so Mikkel, right then. What's the weirdest movie you've ever seen?
The weirdest movie?
For me, it's got to be Swiss Army Man. It's just flipping weird.
Yeah, that was... Oh my fucking... what the fuck was that?
It's really good, but it's really
is.
weird.
And then halfway through, you're like, wait a fucking minute. No.
It's really sweet, but then it's
It is really
not,
sweet,
but
then it's just like, wait.
Yeah, you realise what you're watching.
Yeah.
Godzilla vs. the Smoke Monster is pretty fucking
Is that the
weird.
one with the fish heads?
Yes, it has the scene
Yeah.
from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, except with fish heads and many years before. Yeah, that's a pretty weird one. I don't know, there was that one really cheap horror movie we watched that one time that was about the tickle monster. That
was just a fetish movie in
it
disguise.
was totally a tickle fetish movie that they just
There's
made into
literally-
a
There's
kind of horror
literally a
movie.
scene, because we watched it, like, drama about you, Ruth, Ash and Sarah and us, we watched it, didn't we?
I think so.
Because like, it was one of those where we'd have, like, a get-together every weekend. And we were just like, let's find a stupid movie, and we found the
Back
Tickle
in the
Monster.
before times.
Yeah.
Before the
I
end
think it was
times.
called Tickle Monster.
I think it was, and it was like, it literally involves a scene where a guy tickles, like the tickle monster tickles a person until they just bleed and die.
Oh yeah, people die from being tickled too much, yeah.
Yeah, it's so fucking stupid.
It's a weird one.
But yeah, I'm trying to think, because apart from like the tickle monster, because drama, what did you say?
Swiss Army Man.
Yeah, no, that's solid. Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
See, the one I always think.
What about that one you watched the other week where a man fucks a hole in a wall?
Oh, I've already talked about that one.
pretty
Yeah,
weird.
That is pretty weird. What was that called again?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was pretty weird, but the thing is, I've already talked about it, so I want to pick a different thing. I would say Ginger Dead Man 3. Where I can't remember the subtitle, but it's about
The
basically...
gingering.
Don't say that. Please, don't ever say that word again. But basically it involved disco time travel and a roller rink.
Oh, yeah.
And Gary Busey voices the Ginger Dead Man, which is like a gingerbread man that was baked in a cursed bakery that gets possessed by, like, it's like a Chucky situation where it gets possessed by an evil spirit of, like, a murderer.
It is very much a knockoff Child's Play.
It is, yeah. And, like, he literally calls some random woman a cunt. And it was like that's still a joke between Ash and me now. Because it's like porn star acting, like this woman, like, flirting with this guy, and they're about to start fucking, and she kind of, like, kicks him off, and he's like, you Ash. And he just goes... It just cuts to the Ginger Dead Man poking out from behind, like, the roller rink, and he just goes, "Can't!" And it's just like, okay.
It was so awkward and weird.
It was so awkward, unfunny, sexist, and just garbage that it's fucking hilarious.
It,
it
like,
was so
looped
bad.
around from being so horrendously terrible that it becomes the most memorable thing about the movie.
Yeah. And, yeah, that... I mean, a close second was Razor Blade Smile, which I'm pretty sure was filmed, like, in Matlock. Because it starts off with this woman called Lilith, who's a vampire, and she goes, "Let me start off by telling you, you know fuck all about vampires." And you're just like, oh, I'm in for a fucking treat. It literally has she goes down on one of her vampire larpers, and she's on a period. And she's like, oh, I like that, because we're all vampire larpers. And it's like, you just had to put that in there, didn't you? I mean, that's yucky.
Yeah.
That's yucky. I don't like it. Especially because, like, she was fully just like, hey, yeah, no, like, go down on me and I won't tell you that I'm menstruating or anything. That's fine. It's like, I feel that it's common courtesy. It's like if you're gonna do anal with someone and they don't tell you that they've had, like, 4 burritos in, like, the space of 15 minutes. You know what I mean? It's a courtesy thing.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It's like, hey, just a heads up, I might just spray you with bodily fluids. I hope that's okay. But yeah, they also had does everyone remember that trick knife that you could buy at joke shops?
Yeah.
That had, the collapsible blade into the handle? they literally use that as a prop. They sellotape it to the side of a camera, and they just get the grip to, like, the cameraman to run at the guy.
Good.
And it's so
That sounds pretty great, honestly.
Yeah, and then the final confrontation is between the woman and some old guy, who's like an old vampire, on like a hill in Matlock with a big rock, and they just kind of like jump around and do like slow motion Tai Chi, and then the knife thing is really silly. Okay. And it's like to the point where like you could tell this had such a low budget. I actually own this on DVD as well, because I saw it in a charity shop and I was like, holy fuck. I thought I imagined it. And like, it's like she's just walking down like a street covered in terrace houses, and it looks like, you know, you're on your way to your fucking nan's barbecue, but she's trying to look like mistress of the night. And it's like, this is so weird.
I will say, if you want to have like also just weird shit that I've seen, it's not like a super underground thing that no one's heard of, but Videodrome's pretty fucking weird.
Yeah, that's pretty.
All hail the new flesh and all that.
Yeah.
Existenz as well, which is
Existenz is fucking bizarre, and it's like carries like this video games cause violence, and if we get like
I actually that's a movie that I want to watch again, because when I watched it,
it's saying that like, basically kind of like in the movie it's like VR will make you an actual killer and not be able to differentiate.
There's a lot more to it than that, and we watched it when we were a lot younger and a lot less good at consuming messages and media.
I just remember the end scene being really silly.
It is a very silly movie, yes. Yeah. But I want to watch it again because
Xenoclash, but with Jude Law.
I feel that I would get a lot more out of it now.
Oh, absolutely,
than I did back then. Yeah. So I don't want to be too harsh to it.
But yeah, bunch of weird movies. I didn't say it was bad. I just said it was weird. But yeah.
Okay, let's blast through the last few questions, because I've just seen how long we've been recording for.
Alright.
James.
Hello.
Thoughts on the Age of Sigmar model range?
Pretty good.
They're really cool.
I like the Night Haunt and the Spooky Ghost Boys.
Oh, I've forgotten their name now. The Ossiarch
Bone Reapers.
Yeah,
I like those two. They're really cool, and I wish they would just have they would be one army, and they probably are. I can't remember.
They're not. No, okay, I think they are part of the same order, because that's it.
Order Death. Yeah. Shock Horror. I like skulls, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the range is generally pretty cool. Like, I totally understand, like, I think there is a niche missing for more realistic looking,
that's what
medieval stuff.
They're redoing some stuff like that at some point.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm looking forward to. But mostly because I think, the Age of Sigmar models are really cool, but because I want what they used to be like, I can't get my head to like the new ones, even though they are cool. So I think once the new Old World Warhammer stuff comes out, I'll then be able to appreciate Age of Sigmar stuff more. If that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's some really good stuff there. Gorgeous things.
I mean, hell, I'm using some of the Gloomspite Gits Squig Hoppers as commandos in my Grot Rebellion, so, you know.
Okay, a different James.
Hello, different James.
Confused me on the emails, but it was also, so they've recently discovered a new technique to make painting their nids, and it makes it much less of a chore. So have any of us ever had a painting epiphany?
No.
You mean like when you go, oh wow, I could make this so much easier for myself just doing this? I mean,
it's not necessarily easier. Maybe dramatically better, but by changing anything.
Oh well,
it doesn't necessarily have to be. Making it
I had
easier.
a bit of an epiphany where the way I do gold, which, because I would, just paint stuff shining gold and then just wash it up, and it always didn't look very good to me.
Dirty.
It's like, I don't mind it looking dirty, but the thing is, it just kind of looked really yellowy, brassy, and kind of gross. So it's like, and then I was like, I'm going to paint everything tin bits, which, God, I miss. Wartblock bronze is not the fucking same. And then just, build it up from there, and then, very lightly highlight / dry brush some gold on there, and it gives a really, really deep effect. And it just, and it goes very well with my overall colour scheme of being a little bit more kind of realistic and, darker kind of colours. So, yeah.
I mean, I guess, for me, it was, just learning... It was learning that like washers weren't to be scared of, because I know it's like a really basic thing now, but when I first started, washers didn't exist. They had inks, which were similar but not quite. They were notorious for being a bit awkward to use, and so I never went near them because everyone always told me they were a pain in the arse to use. So I just didn't. And then,
I'm still in that stage.
and then I started using them. I actually initially made my own washers effectively.
What, watering down paint?
By watering down paint, and which doesn't get quite the same kind of thing.
Oh,
and then
no,
I started,
absolutely not.
and then once I started, I just got some like, what was the old black called before normal oil? Because I know there was obviously
I can't remember.
there was Devlin Mud, which was the equivalent
Devlin
of Agrax
Miracle.
Earthshade. Devlin Mud was a notoriously beautiful thing, and Agrax
good.
is nearly as good, but not quite.
Yeah.
So I missed that, but yeah, just kind of learning like to use them. Because ultimately, I think like a lot of stuff, it just boils down to figuring out that a lot of things aren't as scary as you think. Like I did a bit of OSL on something recently, object source
I
lighting.
did some too.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, all it is just glazing, and glazing isn't scary either. You just water stuff down.
It's just you can't just jump in at that point. You kind of have to build up to it.
And like, yeah, a lot of it's just going it. I think batch painting's probably, actually thinking about batch painting's the big one for me. Of that, I just put it off for ages because I was like, because it takes so long to paint like a full squad. If I do them individually, at least then I'll end up with like a couple of finished ones before I get bored. But when doing my grots, because there's so many of them, I've really leaned into doing everything in batches, and it makes things so much easier to paint huge amounts. It's why I've currently painted 65 grots
Oh, that's smart.
in the last like 6 months.
Get a load of this guy who paints the models he buys.
I mean, I think I'm still not quite up to a positive in my bought to painted ratio for this year, but I'm getting there. I'm quite close. I think I'm just shy of painting 100 models this year, so the batch painting thing's working. So
Anyway, so
Nice.
Drama, what about you?
No, not really. Like I said, like I started painting my towel back when I was scared of inks and the old school painting techniques of just you put your base coat on and then you highlight and dry brush, and that was your techniques. So I've not, and because I've not started a new army for so long.
Wash.
Yeah, but I've not even I've never really used a wash, let alone bloody thick coat. What do you call them things?
Contrast.
Or anything like that. So I'm quite looking forward to starting a new army at some point, just so I can try like a different painting style. But until that point, I have not. I'm still.
you know
old
what
school.
you should honestly do if like finding time is difficult. You should just do a really high point, low model count army.
I know all about those.
Like something like, because Snipe has has done dreadnoughts or big nids, like something akin to that would probably work out really well for you. Or even like my Eldar that are all the smallest models, barring like my HQ choices of Wraithguard. So
And then you've gone for a very simplistic kind of like statue aesthetic to make him a lot easier to paint.
like something like that would probably work out well for you, because then you wouldn't have to like worry so much about like spending the time of getting all the stuff done. Like go for like a heavily themed something. Like hell, you could make like a ghost army or something.
Ooh, and then they wouldn't be there.
Make me buy any models.
Make it like the ring bearer model that you could.
What was it? Just like a base with a pair of footprints?
Yes, it was literally that. They made that as a joke.
That's fantastic.
So yeah.
But yeah, no.
Okay, next up, Wilbur.
Hello.
Have any of us read the Black Company series of books?
No, I have not.
Nope.
I've heard they're very good though, because I think they're an Aaron Dembski-Bowden one, and
ADB is rad.
And since he is a rad dude,
He is a bad dude. He's bad enough to save the Warhammer president. I don't know. he's just really cool. Everyone should follow him on Twitter.
On Twitter, he uses a GIF of me giving a thumbs up as a affirmative statement to people, and it never stops being a little weird.
But it's also super awesome and hilarious.
Yes.
Second question. Going to college soon. Any advice for someone who's a bit apprehensive about having to figure stuff out for themselves?
So I assume they mean American style college then.
Okay.
Presumably.
Okay, what I'll say is always have a little bit of money put aside that you absolutely will not touch. go on subreddits like Eat Cheap and Healthy. There's loads of websites where you can just find quite easy to make recipes, because trust me, you need to have a varying in your diet. Because speaking as someone who's basically lived like a clueless college student for a long ass time, these are skills you desperately need to make your life feel better. Because it is so hard to do stuff, and and also just try and try not to mix your drinks as because they will literally go do you remember penny pint nights?
I have heard of these
where it's
mystical...
just hey, do you ever want to just fucking kill a bunch of college students?
I will say one thing unrelated to alcohol is if you require furniture, just go get it from a charity shop.
They're great.
Brand new furniture is a con. It all costs an obscene
outrageous.
amount of money. Don't bother. Just go to a charity shop. You can get it.
I mean, we just got a sofa on Free Cycle, which is just people getting rid of perfectly good stuff for free.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's wherever you're located equivalent, but
yeah, there's always ways and means.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And just try and take there's I've heard some people refer to it as the 2-minute rule, which is if it takes you less than 2 minutes to do it. Oh, my shoes are out there. See, I love to try it one day. Yeah. If your shoes are hanging at in the middle of the floor, it doesn't take 2 minutes to pick them up and put them back. It's a nice thing to have in mind and completely ignore a lot of the time.
Yeah. This is so with this all being kind of living alone thing, because neither of us went to university. Do you have any specific advice, Matt, from someone who did go to university?
I don't know. I do want to say
early and often.
My specific advice was I had a year before I went to uni, but I wanted to leave home because I was very ready to leave home and leave my folks. We get on great now, but as a teenager and whatnot.
There is a lot of kind of you can love your parents, but you can't live with them.
Yeah, and I was very ready to leave, and then it just didn't happen, and I had to wait a year. So I was like, nope, okay. And what I did in that year was get into, and I don't recommend this, but just by being an idiot and not knowing what to do, I got into loads of credit card debt. And then in my last 2 or 3 months before I went to uni, I was just living off dry just pasta without sauce and things for 3 months while paying off credit card debt. But it meant that since then, and since going to uni, I've been really careful with money, and I have spreadsheets for everything, and it did wonders for me. But I don't recommend it at all.
Literal baptism of fire.
Or everyone learn from Matt's mistakes is the point.
Yeah.
Also, don't be afraid of shopping around. Yeah. If you can get one thing cheaper in one shop and then walk to another shop and get a thing cheaper than that, yeah.
And also, don't worry too much about it. No one's got it all figured out.
No, and anyone who looks like they do is a fucking liar.
Yeah, no one knows what they're doing.
It's you'll encounter someone who looks like they have perfect financial control, but then they won't be able to ever make or take phone calls. There'll always be a bunch of stuff. So people will look at you and go, "Dang, I wish I could do that." They've got it sorted out. So yeah, don't fret too much, but just be aware that shit is tricky in the beginning, but you'll get a handle on it.
Yeah. And no one knows what they're doing. It's occasionally people ask us for advice about YouTube, and we go, we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Agent Sinister. First up, their favourite dinos are pterosaurs.
Excellent, thank you very much. They are pretty badass.
Well, actually, they're not dinosaurs.
No, they're sauropods, but that's still really cool, and I like them. So
they are rad as shit. They are honorary dinosaurs.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Their question, any advice for D&D players who are shit at maths?
Calculator.
I mean, honestly, in 5th...
In 5th is pretty good, but I mean, if you want to play Pathfinder or AD&D or something like that, I would say just ask for help. Just ask someone else at the table to help you out.
Yeah, or just have a calculator there, or just always have a piece of paper so you can write down numbers and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one should judge you for this, and you should. Hopefully, you have a group who can accommodate it however that needs to be.
My maths is appalling.
I'm just good enough with maths to know that I'm shit at it.
I am so bad at it. I know that I am horrifically bad at it.
You actually have an interesting relationship with it, which is that you will approach anything where you have to like do any kind of like long kind of winded bit of arithmetic, and you will do it right the first time, but because you're so sure you're bad at it, you will then second guess yourself and then come to the wrong answer.
I also have seen like how people with ADHD describe how they do things like that in their head, and I'm like, maybe I should get that checked.
Maybe.
Because I I'm old, I have everything wrong with me. It's one of those, it's like, ooh, what shall I go get tested for today?
Yeah, but in general, modern D&D isn't super heavy on it. So
don't fret too much and don't let it get in the way of your enjoyment. And yeah, just get help from other players. And
also on your character sheet, there is kind of room to do a lot of things, so you can like.
You can put in kind of like, what you need to
what
do.
your multipliers are. Just make notes about the things you have to use a lot. Like, say if you have a character that, say, gets a plus 3 from their general stat bonus to hit, and then a plus 3 from proficiency bonus, and then they get a plus 1 from a weapon that they're using, then you just make a note somewhere that
it says plus 7.
That it's plus 7. So
Yeah.
you don't have
just
to...
you just in your like attack box. It's just you just put down your 1 overall modifier, so you don't need to.
I will say, if you're still having trouble after that, which is completely fine, just get other people to help out.
Yeah.
But it's like D&D is very much a team effort, so
and if
you're not putting on anyone.
If your other players aren't willing to help you out with that, then they're probably a bunch of dicks.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a way around it, just thinking as a DM and practically
hit someone with a pencil case.
If your DM can, it probably wouldn't take too much time, but rather than saying, okay, you need a 20 for this, and then you roll the dice and add your modifier, the DM could, if you tell the DM what your modifier is for, like, your basic attack or whatever, your DM could just be like, well, you need a 13 for this on the dice, and you just roll the dice and hit that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool as well.
It's actually a good idea.
Which is a bit of extra effort on the DM's part, but not that much, honestly.
No, not really. I mean, all they need is a copy of their character sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know that, like, some people, they even when approached with a fairly simple, like, addition thing,
it can be really overwhelming.
It can be very overwhelming for people,
Yeah,
especially in like a setting where they're surrounded by people, and it's like you're trying to keep the pace up, and you're like, oh god, what's 7 plus 4, and it just even that can just overwhelm people, and that's like totally cool. It can happen.
Yeah, no. So just it's all good.
You just work it out with other people, or try and find systems that will work for you to help make all the maths as simple as possible, so it's easier to deal
It's
with.
all good.
Okay, second to last question.
Okay.
A roll and bread.
Hey,
Has Snipe read any Junji?
Oh yes, I've read a lot of Junji Ito.
Yes, you have.
Well, I really like his stuff.
I think you've actually talked at length about Junji Ito's fucked up shit on the podcast before.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold Brett accountable for not listening to
I
every podcast.
wasn't saying that.
How
no,
dare you, Brett?
No, I just meant I'm pretty sure, because when you went through a stage where you were just reading through loads of it, I'm pretty sure
I
you
go
talked
through phases quite a bit. So there was like a month where the only media I consumed apart from say like a couple of TV shows was like just Junji Ito manga and stuff. But yeah, no, I need to get like reading some more because it's very good. But yeah.
Okay. Very last question from Sebastian.
Hello.
Who the fuck is MisanthroPod, and why is the podcast named after her?
Oh, this is a very long and beautiful story with many gulfs and valleys along the the troubled highway of life.
You see, this one time, Drummer Matt was...
well, yeah?
Yeah, this one time... This one time...
I haven't heard this story. Please,
Because I came up with the name, but I never told you where it came from.
No, you didn't. Please tell me.
You see, this one time, Drummer Matt, he came to me and he said, I've had the weirdest situation happen to me. Really peculiar. You see,
Which is weird, because he was actually using words.
Yeah,
normally he did scream first, but
okay,
and he walked up to me and he said, "I've just had the weirdest thing happen. I just walked into a woman and she started talking to me and we hit it off, and we're like we're getting quite."
Was this pre-Ruth?
No, they're just friends.
Okay, because no.
Man and woman can be friends.
Yes.
And they got talking, and he said, and her name is Misanthropod. And I said, that's not actually that strange. It's a bit of a strange surname, but yeah. And that was the story.
No, her name is MisanthroPod. That's her full name.
Yeah.
I went to college with the woman. I know.
Oh, you know her
I
as well.
did actually know. Yeah. We were in art college together. Oh. She was doing textiles while I was doing like graphic design and digital art. So yeah, no, she's pretty cool. But yeah, no, she just yeah.
Yeah, it's not actually a very interesting story. It's just it was strange that Matt framed it weird. I mean,
especially because he he was like, oh, I met this woman. She's really cool, and also she gave me a business card, and then he basically unraveled it from his like around the head of his wee because what he does when he gets business cards is like he peels them like an apple back and forth, so it turns into this very long connected like string of paper / cardboard.
He wraps it round and holds it with like an elastic band.
Yeah. And then he's like, basically he doesn't feel that he can properly absorb the knowledge on the card unless his pee turn purple.
Yeah. It's also why if you ever need an elastic band, you should never ask Matt.
No. Because like he uses these really cheap, crappy ones that just crumble after like a little while. You know,
they crumble very quickly given the circumstances. Let's just say rubber does not do well in the situations he puts it in.
No.
Get swampy down there.
Yeah. Swamp rubber, they call him.
So yeah, that's the actually not very interesting story.
Yeah, it was really boring actually. Nice one.
Although Matt did also coincidentally eat a duck, like whole and live, in that same day.
Yeah, but he ate it like feet first.
Yeah, I still think of the screams.
Yeah, the duck that screamed like a man.
Yeah,
it was just like, it's like, oh no, that poor duck. That's actually what it sounded like. That's what I'm recording on my phone. Sorry, it might be a bit like tinny, but yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Might sound exactly like you were yelling away from the microphone.
It did, but that's what was so eerie about it.
Yeah, it was. It was terrifying.
Yeah,
but that was unrelated to the MisanthroPod story, and we just liked the sound of the name, so we used it for the podcast.
Yeah, and then there was that time he used a live lobster as a jock strap. But
I'll tell you what,
it was
irresponsible, but it sent a message.
It did.
I mean, it achieved the goal. So
I mean, to be fair, like how else were you going to win that skiing competition? Am I right? Like, God, that was some garbage. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, like Rob Lobster was like super into it. He was cool. He'd been to college for like to like study human anatomy and stuff. So he was really on board. I was actually quite impressed.
I also Rob Lobster had a really good theme tune.
Yeah. It's Rob Lobster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not what you'd think.
No.
Yeah, that was the joke. That was the joke I was leading up to.
And now that you've explained
I'm very glad that you undermined my one joke that I was going to say, because nothing else I said here was actually funny.
No, but that's why I'm here.
So I'm glad that you took my hope that maybe making one like kind of input to this that was positive and worthwhile, and just cast it to the wind.
Yeah.
In front of me.
Would you want to try again? I won't interfere this time.
No. I've taken the disappointment. I've internalized it. It's a part of me now.
Cool. Like that's probably not healthy though. You should probably
much like the business cards.
Yeah.
They're very unhealthy.
Yeah.
If Matt ever offers you a business card, don't take it, because A, it's not his.
Yeah. No, that's the only reason.
And B, you won't get that smell off your hands for days.
No.
And we should also...
It smells like teriyaki that's been stored in like an old cup of probiotic yogurt that has been like basically kept in the coat of a glue sniffer at the bookies for 3 days. It's a very specific description, but if you smell it, you'll know what I mean.
Yeah.
The planets align. Anyway,
the podcast is over now. You should all go home.
Yeah.
Maybe you're listening to this not at home, in which case you should maybe not go home. I don't know.
Don't go home.
Circumstances vary.
That's a very specific threat.
That was just because that sounds like we've basically recorded this podcast so we can gain
Go
unlawful
home,
access to
but
one
not for
person's
at least
house.
3/4 of an hour.
And also don't check it like in the fridge when you get back ever.
Leave it for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, like a match in the fridge. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your questions, and we shall return in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Thanks very much, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.